Here we go. Welcome, everybody, to A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie. My name is Bruce, and with me tonight is my co host, Mrs. Janet from Another Planet. And I'd like to welcome you to our discussion for episode 48. This is The Prestige. Janet, what is The Prestige about, first off? If you can just give us an elevator pitch for those that have not seen this Christopher Nolan film, and
Well,
I'll ask you another few questions later.
well, basically, it's about two 19th century magicians that begin off as friends, and then throughout the movie, their relationship changes because of a tragic accident that happens during one of their performances as they work for another magician. And that tragedy ends up becoming an obsession for both of them to outdo the other, to find out each other's secrets. So basically, they're they try to destroy each other as the movie goes on in different ways by using their obsession to find out as much as they can about the other one. That's basically what this movie is, basically, to me. I mean, from my point of view, what would you say, Bruce?
I would say that you've covered the synopsis of it very, very well, and I agree with Hungar here.
Hello, Hungar. Thank you for coming. Oh, you like my little hat? We got lots of hats. Thank you.
This is a great Victorian era movie about these two budding journeyman magicians that studied under a master.
Hmm.
And it
Well,
had,
they really study under multiple magicians.
yeah,
Because each of them are like assistants for other magicians as they work their way up. The difference is one is poor, from a poor upbringing, and the other one is a rich gentleman. I mean, his family's rich. So basically, you could see that he had education, things like that, and basically his idea of wanting to be a magician. He has to keep it on the down low because of his family. He doesn't want to embarrass his family by using them knowing that he's a famous magician, or trying to become a famous magician. So even he's married. One of them's married. The one that's rich is married, and his wife is his assistant and assists him during his his magic endeavors, or whatever you want to call it. So that's what makes it the combination between the two upcoming magicians, because they constantly talk about other people's magic tricks, the things that they do in their shows, and how they themselves would do it and perform it better. So that's what the camaraderie is that tracks them together in the first place. And what's his name? Hugh Jackman's name in the movie.
he's got a couple.
Sorry.
Um,
I was going to say Rupert
Rupert.
Algier. Rupert Algier. He is Hugh Jackman's character, and his wife is the one that's an assistant to what one of the magicians that both of them assist for, and they're used as plants in the audience. So when they call someone up to make sure the ropes are tied strong enough, or the locks are real locks, things like that, they're both called from the audience to pretend like they're just one of the other people, and to agree that it's a normal lock, or ropes, or whatever it is that they're brought up there to examine the cages and things like that. So the people will think that they're just a normal person.
and I want to know when was the first time you saw this movie?
Um, God, so many movies that we're
Did you
going back to watch. I didn't get to watch them in a theater, which I wish I had of, because like this one was so there's so much detail in the costumes and the scenery and just so many aspects of it that I wish I could actually go back in time and get to actually watch it in a theater, but I didn't. It was already a, it was already a I guess it was a DVD or whatever it was when it came out. Maybe was it on VHS? Is it that old?
This is at the close of the VHS era. This is at the close of the VHS era, around 2007 for the release.
Okay, so it probably was a DVD, the early ones.
Yep.
Could have been. I just remember the first time I got to watch it was on television, and there weren't giant screens either. So, but it was so good. I just couldn't believe I didn't go see it at the movie theater, which was sad. I wish I had of, because it was a really, really excellent movie. I mean, the acting. I was really surprised when I read on Rotten Tomatoes that it only made $53 million at the box office.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
It just seems such like a small amount. I mean, it compared to what people say that this movie made $100 million, it's like it just doesn't seem possible with such star power in it. I mean, it had
Kane,
David
you have
Bowie,
Hugh Jackman, you have
Christian
Scarjo.
Bale,
Yeah.
and it had Scarlett Johansson, and then it had Michael Caine in it. It should have been a box office smash. I mean, is $53 million back in 2007? Was that like a buttload of money? I mean,
No, but it's about a third more than what it is now. Our money has lost so much value now
yeah,
that it's
you're
nothing
right.
unless it does $1 billion in its opening weekend. Oh my God, Captain Marvel! We gotta suck Captain Marvel's dick because she made so much money. Bring back
I
Brie
know.
Larson.
I didn't even see that movie. I've never watched that movie, and
Neither
I
have I.
don't have any.
That
I'm
was
not going to run out and rent it or
that was the
pay money for
first.
it.
That was the
So,
first movie of the MCU that I did not see,
so
and that's
there's been a few
also
that I haven't watched.
I've not watched a single one of them since. I don't care. I don't care what happens in it. You fucked up an entire series of movies and genre for me, Disney. Rotten hell, you fucking pathetic worms.
But
We don't leave anything,
Fladley says would be 76.9 million today, according to Google. Trash, whatever that means. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm reading on there.
Well, the Google calculator is saying that literally, like my little offhand estimate, yeah, about 80 million.
So it to me though, I still think it was a top notch movie. I mean, it has everything in it. I don't know if that's me.
That was you.
Is that me?
That's you.
Because I haven't changed anything since the other day.
Okay, I believe you.
I turned everything off.
It's fine. That just sounds like a little ding. That's all. No big deal.
But I don't know what it's coming from. So poop. I don't know. It just drives me crazy. But it was top notch. I mean, the acting was wonderful. The scenery was excellent. The costumes, the makeup. I mean, just every aspect of it was just phenomenal. I thought it was this movie definitely, to me, I would have nominated for a few Academy Awards. Did it win any awards? Do you know?
I'm looking at it right now, and I don't think it was nominated for 2 Oscars.
Okay.
And over the course of its award run, which I'm talking about Oscars, I'm talking about Academy Awards.
Mm-hmm.
This had 6 wins and 45 nominations.
Okay, over the run of the movie.
Yes.
Okay, well, I can see why. I mean, it had so many aspects that it was just a phenomenal movie, and it had so many twists and turns in it that it was really almost impossible to figure it out. Because I remember when I first started watching it, I pretty much figured it out when they were talking about how when Christian Bale's character was able to do the transported man act in his show, and Hugh Jackman's character was obsessed with trying to figure out how he did it, and I pretty much figured right off the bat that if it wasn't a double, and that it had to be a twin, that he had like a twin brother that looked just like him, and that's why he was able to do this show and make it so believable, because it was him basically.
Yeah.
Except because it was hard to understand that, because we never got to see him side by side as twins, because you never saw him. You always saw the other character with a disguise on. So when Michael Caine sends both of them as the young apprentices of still learning magic off to go see the old Chinaman perform in his show, and they're trying to figure out how he did the fishbowl trick, and then when after they watch the show, they're in the alley watching the old man shuffle out to his his little wagon, basically his carriage or whatever, and they were like just in awe of him, seeing how he lives his character, and it's funny when Hugh Jackman's talking to his wife, and he says he has to be as strong as an ox to be able to carry that fishbowl filled with water between his legs, and to be able to use sleight of hand to put it up on the table and then pull away the scarf or whatever that he had over it to show everybody that there's a fishbowl appears with a goldfish swimming in the bowl, a big one, not just a teeny bowl, but
it was a damn near guppy sized goldfish.
Yeah, it was a huge bowl, and it had a huge, fantail, beautiful goldfish in there after he was done performing, and how in awe of him, the respect they both pour on over this old man watching him, because they're both mesmerized with magic, and they just want to be good at, be good magicians. They want to be the best. They want to someday rise to the depths of being the best there is, and that's why they're in awe of him, because he lives his character, and to be able to make a living at portraying a magician and be able to do tricks that other ones cannot perform. You get to see the backside of that. You get to see it from the magician's perspective, and also we get to see it as the people in the audience, and see the awe and the spectacle of all the different magic shows and stuff, which I think it's just. I was just just immersed into it, because it was just so wonderful the way that they do it, and the way Michael Caine is able to step by step take you through the different aspects of each
trick.
Yeah, well, like when they have the bird cage, and they had the little parakeet in it, and then he slams it down on the table, and then he out of his sleeve he pulls out the other bird, and it flies off. So everyone thinks that he made it disappear from the cage and all of a sudden appear and fly away. Oh, Hunger's going to sleep.
Yeah, he's a early riser, and so that means that you go to bed early.
Well, thank you for stopping by, and hope to see you later.
Hungar, I hope you have yourself a great night, sir. Get some good rest. Stay healthy, my friend. We need to stream more often.
Or maybe we can do a more earlier show or something. I don't know, but hey, Kronos, thank you for coming. Glad you stopped by to see us on Six Nations and 31 Kings. Is that what it says?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm having a hard time reading it. It's really small. But where was I at now? I'm trying to remember where I was.
You're talking about the fishbowl act.
Oh yeah.
So
watching their the camaraderie between the two young magicians, in awe of an older magician, and how dedicated he is to portraying a character so that he can perform magic, by them thinking he's feeble, okay, a feeble old man, and so he wouldn't be able to carry it around with him under his robe and just whip it out because he's a giant heavy fishbowl, because he's a feeble old man, even though he really isn't. So that's his persona that he uses, and it teaches them on how to perform. But see, as you go through, you understand that Christian Bale's character has already been living that life, because as you learn more about him and his character, that he's um, got a twin or a double, just like when later on, after Hugh Jackman's wife drowns, and he's at his wife's funeral, and Christian Bale's character shows up, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he asks him what knot he tied, because during the show where Hugh Jackman's wife was the assistant to the magician, Hugh Jackman would wrap the ropes around his wife's ankles, as a plant in the audience, and then you had Christian Bale is the one that would do her wrists. So he wanted to make sure that the wrists were tied with certain knots, and Michael Caine would tell him, make sure you use this one type of knot, because if you don't, she it could swell up and she might not be able to slip the ropes. So that's what the whole tragedy that starts off the rivalry between the two of them is, because Hugh Jackman loses his wife because she drowns, but the trick is already a scary trick. That's why a lot of people don't do it in their act, because it's very dangerous, and people have drowned before. But and now Hugh Jackman blames Christian Bale's character, because he's wanting to know if he didn't tie the right knot. If he didn't tie the right knot, then that could have killed her. So so you already have the tension between the two of them for that. And after that, that's when they quit working together, because
It's just too
Hugh
much.
Jackman won't be in the same room with him, because he blames him for his wife's death. And then later, when Christian Bale's character meets another woman that he sees at one of the shows, and he falls in love with her, and he has a relationship, Hugh Jackman finds out about it, and he's very jealous that the Christian Bale's character is got everything he wanted. He's got his magician career is starting to take off. He has a beautiful wife and a new baby, because she ends up having a little daughter, and he's jealous. So he just wants to get even. He just wants him not to have what he had. He wants him to lose what he has. So he puts a disguise on and goes to this small little it's like a saloon, I guess you could say, where people paid to see him, Christian Bale's character, perform. But Fallon, the other person, is there in the disguise, a beard and stuff like that, as his assistant or whatever. And so he picks Hugh Jackman out of the crowd to do the whole thing with the gun, and he slips a real bullet in there to do the bullet catch trick. So when he realizes it's Hugh Jackman, and when he asks him what knot did you tie, he doesn't want to die, and that's when Fallon jumps and hits him, and the gun goes down, and it only shoots him in the hand, so he shoots off two of his fingers. So that changes it a little bit, because now Hugh Jackman has been successful to almost kill him, but now it made the magician lose two of his fingers on his hand. So to fix the act that he's got, where Fallon is him and he swaps places with him, he has to chop off two of his fingers to make them match, so that they look the same. So that, I thought, that showed you how dedicated he was to make sure that they look the same, as the same person, that no one would be able to tell them apart. I thought that was real dedication.
And I really like how the first act of this movie, Hugh Jackman sets up basically He's digging for answers. He's reading as much as he can.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to follow this trail as much as he can, and he just wants peace, and he's not. It evades him,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of him trying to find closure, all he manages to do is just dig up more and more anger, and it's interesting to watch. Also, I found something that it's in the trivia section on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
There's a character, Chung Ling Soo, the Chinese man in this movie, is
Yeah.
a stage character created by William Ellsworth Robinson, a white man who disguised himself as a Chinese man to cash in on audiences' enthusiasm for the exotic.
Mm-hmm.
Robinson lived as Chung, never broke character while in public. He died March 1918 when a bullet catch trick went wrong. His quote, his final breaths were, "My God, I've been shot." And they were both his last words and the first English he'd spoken on stage in 19 years. Just
Yeah.
just a bit of trivia there. I
Yeah,
thought that was
that's what I mean.
amazing.
I mean, you look at Penn and Teller. Okay, Penn and Teller right now, Teller never speaks. Okay, even though he can speak, because after I've gone to like I've been to like 12 of their shows in Vegas, and I always wait and meet them and greet them and get their autographs and my picture taken with them and stuff after the show. And Teller can really speak, so he can really talk, and he's really tiny, it's so adorable. But they're a great magic act together, a great team. Um, to share the limelight. And see, that was one of the things that I thought was so it was so I don't know what the word is, uh, the hatred that Hugh Jackman's character slowly over time it just eats away at him. This hatred for Christian Bale's character, for him taking everything from him because he took his wife. He has a wife, and he has a beautiful child. All the and his career is taking off. So he is just enveloped with hatred, so he's being eat away in his soul, basically.
Yeah,
His character on the inside, he's rotting from the inside with hatred for the other man, even though the other man, which is Christian Bale, is starting to become famous, and he's having turmoil because his wife doesn't know that he has a twin brother, and one day she's with the twin brother, and one day she's with her husband, and she knows there's something wrong, that she thinks her husband's got like a split personality or something, because she can tell that on some days he doesn't love her because he's so cold and calculated toward her, that it hurts. I mean, she feels like she's being ripped in two, and she doesn't know why. She doesn't understand, because he's not being honest with her and saying, "Hey, it's my twin brother. This is why our show's so good, but I have to keep it a secret," because they live their character. One day he's Fallon, one day he's the husband. One day he's Fallon, one day he's the husband. And then Fallon does the same thing. So basically, both of them are tormented. And you don't really see that much of the tormention really between his wife and Fallon and what's his name? His character's name. Hold on, let me look at my
uh,
paper. Alfred.
Alfred. Yeah,
His
I
name's
forget.
Alfred. So
We'll see
Alfred
that.
and his twin, basically, Fallon, are betraying each other. So one day one's a magician, so that each of them get to share the limelight, basically, get to go out to dinner, get to live a life and not just have to be in secret. So that was their way of being able to not have to be the Chinaman, right? The Chinaman has to live every single day as that person. He can't be seen anywhere not wearing his costume, because he doesn't have a double. He doesn't have a twin. He doesn't have someone to take his place.
And
So
that's where Borland or Alfred tells Hugh Jackman, he's like, "This is the trick, not him doing magic, But him just going out in public, pretending to be a cripple, trying to walk like that, and just this is the trick. His existence, him trying to pretend. It's like watching a bum limp over to the intersection where he's going to hold a sign up all day. And at the end of the day, that bum goes over to his Lexus or his Denali or his Cadillac, and he drives off in a better car than what you drive, with a vehicle that's mostly paid off because he's robbing the system. And then he's playing the system. And there's no shame in his attitude towards life. He's doing everything he can because he feels he's the one that's, at the disadvantage. I'm the one that has to go and beg on the corner all day. I'm the one that has to go and do this. And it's just the way that these people live action role play through life. That was a part that Christian Bale found so intricate about the character, and he really appreciated that. And that's also the first real hint. That's actually the first real hint that you have where Bale's character is something a little more, because he was kind of emotionally attached to that scene. He had a smile creep across his face, like, I know this secret, I know this trick. And that's the first time you get a chance to really see the magic going on behind the scenes of this movie.
Well, when he first meets his future wife at one of his little magic shows where he's the assistant to the magician, and the little boy that's with her, when he does the trick to smash the bird in the cage down into the table, right? And the little boy is crying, saying he killed it, he killed it. And then he goes, no, he's fine. And then he goes, well, where's his brother? And then when he says to the girl, he says, he's a smart little man because he figured out the trick without telling him. He figured it out, basically. Okay, because it's like he told him when he showed him how to do that magic trick about taking the quarter out of his ear to the little boy. He said, never tell anyone, because once you tell someone your secret, then you're nothing to them anymore. So basically, that was the way he lived his life. Him and his brother, they lived their life as the same person, as one. They didn't have separate identities. They couldn't look like themselves except for every other day, because they were both living as the same person, as Alfred. So I thought that was kind of sad, because everyone around them, because when Alfred fell in love with Scarlett Johansson, okay, the assistant, or you think it was him, you don't know for sure until later on when she's upset. Scarlett Johansson tells him, when you're with me, you're supposed to be with me and leave your family at home. And he tells her, I love Sarah, because he does love Sarah, but the other him is in love with Scarlett Johansson. See, that's where the divide happens. And over time, his wife ends up committing suicide because she can't live with the fact that she becomes an alcoholic, and with the fact that she doesn't feel like her husband loves her, that he's in love with the other woman, which he isn't, because the man that she actually married and had a child with did love her, but he couldn't tell her the truth about his twin brother, because that was their secret. They had to keep it a secret to save their magic or whatever. So that was a tragedy. But Hugh Jackman didn't realize that his life was tormented that way, because he didn't know him that well. He didn't know that fact about him, that he had to pretend to be someone he wasn't, because of to hide his secret, that he didn't have a double. He actually had a twin. And if that got out, that would ruin his magic show, right? So he had to keep it a secret. So I just thought that was a tragedy in itself. So even though Hugh Jackman was tortured, tragic person inside, eating away at him, so was Alfred's character and his brother. Basically, well, his brother was more nonchalant and arrogant, because he disliked the fame, and he didn't care that he was hurting Sarah or anything, or even Scarlett Johansson, because basically he didn't care. He was just happy to, you know, drink and party and have a good time and be famous as a magician. But what another thing that really bothered Hugh Jackman's character was the fact that he had to be under the stage when the double got to all the glory of the applause and of the from the prestige, the third part of every magic trick, and that was hard on him. He had a hard time dealing with that because when they went and they found the other guy to pretend to be him on stage, he couldn't handle it that well. But he did a really good job, I felt, at playing two different characters. They did something to his nose or something. I don't know what they did. And they put like teeth in or something to make him look slightly different. Because to me, I didn't think that the double was as attractive as Hugh Jackman's character, even though I knew in my mind it was the same person. I just thought that was really good at how whatever they did through the makeup and stuff to make him look slightly different. What did you think about the way they did that?
I think this movie should be like textbook film school study material.
Mm-hmm.
This the acting is not even something I'm going to worry about discussing because it's a Christopher Nolan film and he wouldn't release dailies out of his office unless he was personally satisfied with the outcome each and every day. The makeup, the effects, the set direction, everything in this movie oozes Victorian era, or what I prefer to call it, steampunk era London.
Mm-hmm.
I think this movie is probably the best looking Chris Nolan film I've ever seen. And I'm not saying that because it's a period piece, because we all have a thing for various things that, will transport us somewhere else. So as much as I might like, Gotham City, the last thing I ever want to see is a fucking movie in Chicago. Burn fuckers. No, I'm sorry. God damn it, my anger. Uh, I just, I really get attached to films that they do everything right.
Mm-hmm.
I think this movie has an amazing series of events that you have to watch it a few times. You have to watch this movie a few times because there are parts of it where you don't realize things happen. Like when Olivia gives the diary, and she lets the diary go from one magician to the other, and so somebody goes off in search of Tesla,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that's just a script genius.
Yeah, but what was so good about that whole scene was she was a woman scorned, you
Oh
know.
God,
Uh,
yes.
she fell in love with him because he's freaking gorgeous, good looking, handsome. Plus, he was very smart and he was rich. He has everything that a woman in 1890 would want. He's
Yeah.
he's got it all, and she's very attractive. And she's a very attractive woman herself. So, and she's getting to work for one of the most famous musicians in London. So her career is really good because of him, and and he's interested in her, and so and she spends all of her time with him. So I could see why she would fall in love with him.
She
But the
knows all
fact
the
that
aspects of the tricks. She knows everything going on front stage,
with
backstage.
all his secrets, well, she thinks she knows all his secrets because he
Yes.
just like when she worked for Fallon and Alfred, she did know their secret because they kept it from her too, just like
Like
they kept it from his wife. So they were very good at it. And
she was
some of
nothing
the
more. She was nothing more. She was just an assistant. She was not going to get privileged information. Borland would say, "I don't even tell my wife I've got a twin. He
yeah.
gets to go and be with her every other night."
When you're a woman and you think that you're like Sarah, his wife, she just gave him the gift of life, gave him a child.
Hmm.
In her heart, she didn't realize he was lying to her. He wasn't being honest, and telling her the truth. So, I don't
I
know.
felt sorry for
Their
Sarah.
their whole the whole thing to me because of the hiding and the secretivity between the two of them, it ruined everything to me. Because if he told his wife about the the bullet trick, and she didn't tell anyone, it didn't ruin his career because of it. If he would have trusted her enough to say, this is my twin brother, and without him I couldn't do these tricks, I think she would have done it, because she would have done anything for him. And then the jealousy that she had for Scarlett Johansson's character, I don't think would have ever arose.
Manifested.
So, but what I'm saying is their turmoil between the two of them and their relationship was all stemmed because he didn't tell her the truth. He wasn't truthful with her. And that way she would have known, well, I have to put up with this asshole, which she didn't like, because you could tell when she was with him and the way he treated her, she knew it wasn't him. She knew it wasn't him, because she goes, you don't love me today. And she knew, because she loved him unconditionally. She would have done anything for him, which she did. She ended up killing herself because she felt she lost him, you know. So, and that was a tragedy. And then when Scarlett Johansson sitting at that dining table with Fallon, you know, the other twin, thinking it's Alfred, and he's so cold, like, oh well, you know, she killed herself. You know, he doesn't give a shit. And that's when she sees him and thinks that this guy's a pig. You know, I've been wasting all my time sleeping with this guy, thinking, you know, he loved me, and he's nothing but a pig. And see, he was a pig. So, but it wasn't the same person that she thought she was in love with, the person she worked with on stage every other time that they were together. So, and, you know, I don't know. I just think that the whole thing was a tragedy. It was a tragedy upon tragedy upon tragedy, basically, between two wonderful men that could have had so much if they just opened up more and were shared their true feelings with the person that they supposedly was in love with, you know, like he did with his wife. Remember when Hugh Jackman, towards the beginning of the movie, when he's with his wife and they're talking about the different things that they were doing in the, you know, in the magic tricks and stuff, because she was risking her life going in a tank and doing all the different things too. So she had to understand how the trick worked to be able to perform it and be realistic at it, right? To make it believable to the crowd. So, and he shared all that with her. You know, he talked about the Chinaman, how he had the fishbowl between his legs. He was very open with her. But when he started a relationship with Scarlett Johansson's character, he wasn't honest with her. He didn't share with her. He was very secretive. He became Alfred. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Started having Alfred traits, and that changed him. He became bitter and angry and sullen. You know, inside it was just rotting him away. And the only good man in the whole thing was Michael Caine's character.
Cutter.
You know, and he was willing to do anything and everything. And he's the one that came up with the cool tricks and different ways to do certain things, except for the the trick where he, you know, disappears and comes back somewhere else, the disappearing man trick. So, and he knew that whole thing was not a good thing when they found out what happened at the end of the movie. So, but the thing is that when he gets that book, okay, through trickery on her part, because she was so spiteful and just wanted to hurt him like he hurt her, because she felt when he told her to go work for the other guy, it broke her heart. Basically, it made her feel like she was nothing but a hooker, you know, a prostitute, a slut, a worthless piece of meat. That's how she felt. At least I would have felt that way, and that's how I took it. And it really hurt. I mean, it really hurt her really bad. So when she went over there and she knew that she still loved him, but she was hurt by him. And then she started spending more time with him, and she realized that, you know, I'm going to just tell him, you know, I'm going to help him because this will hurt him more than anything. So when she went over there and performed that, you know, little scene, you know, poor pitiful me scene about how he was such a dick and he sent her over there and all that stuff, and she gave him that book and said, I have to take it back. And then he came up with the idea that I'll fake a break-in, so it'll look like he broke in and stole it to take the weight off of her. That proved to her that he still did have feelings for her, that maybe she made a mistake, but she still felt guilty, but she did it anyway. See, she didn't tell him the truth that it was a setup, that wasn't his real journal. So when he took it and he started reading it and he thought he had the key to it, which was Tesla, in his mind, he was thinking that wasn't a double, that somehow Tesla had helped him figure out a way of how to really transport. See, that's what he was thinking. I think from what I could tell, he thought, well, Tesla helped him make a box where he could go from one box to the other. See, is real magic. It's through science or whatever. When it wasn't, it was a twin all along. But when what was the Michael Caine's character's name?
Cutter.
Okay, so when he said he's using a double, that's the only way I know, and that's basically in real life. That's what most people would do, is use someone else that looks close enough to make it work. Just like you said, though, you are the showman. You're the one that can do the flamboyant thing and get people to listen to you. You're commanding the audience to pay attention to what you're doing for the magic trick. But this other guy, he's not going to be able to do that. So he can only be there for a very short time and bow or whatever, because he won't be able to command the audience the way that Hugh Jackman's character would be able to do.
Hey, Bone, how you doing?
Thank
I
you.
know I haven't talked to you much lately. We don't get on panels together, but I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm glad he's feeling better and his kitties are all right, or his kitty. Or do you have two kitties? I thought you said something about having two cats when you were sick. But that whole it was like a love triangle, or it's not really a triangle because there's four of them, with Scarlett Johansson and Fallon and Alfred, and then the wife. So there's four of them, in this entourage or whatever. But they only thought there was one man. So that whole thing was just a tragedy from the beginning. But when Hugh Jackman's character does get to go and stake out, go to America and stake out Tesla to get in, get an audience with him, and then he tells him he'll fund him. He'll give him all this money because he's rich, and if you do this and you build me the same machine that you had built for this other person. But the thing is, he didn't build a machine for the other person. You know what I mean? He just got the name, and he thought that this guy had done something for him because that's what the name was for the key to all his, the key he used to his magic tricks. And so, and you don't figure that out until later when he's telling the gentleman that was sent there by Hugh Jackman's character to tell him, you sell me all this stuff and I'll take care of your daughter because you're about to die. You're going to get the death penalty or whatever for murder. So I will take care of this child for you if you give me your magic tricks. So, because he wanted his real book, because he was thinking there was still some secret in there that he would find, which he never did. He never did get to find out what his real secret was. But the fact that he went there to get Tesla to help him create something. So when he was telling him what he wanted, Tesla said he would think about it and try to figure out something, some way to make this for him. And he did it. He was doing it right all along. It's just that the dial wasn't switched in enough to where we'd know where this person was going to show up, or where the other hat was going to be, or the other cat. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really, really good and very intriguing. And I love the part where they did the science show, where the exhibit, where they had Edison's people and then they had Tesla's people in the same thing with different scientific stuff, experiments going on where the public could go and watch it. And to see the, I can't remember the name of that thing. I've seen it before where they had the electricity going from one to the other back and forth.
Yeah, the White Cliff Tower.
Yeah, that whole thing was reason whoever wrote the script they use that, the arc or whatever it was called, where the power goes from one ball to the other, shooting back and forth. They use that whole concept of that, of somehow using that to make a double or a clone of you, or whatever it was that you put in there, whether it would be a kitty cat or a person or a hat, to be able to make it into make another one identical to it, which I thought was just, so that way, when he starts trying to figure that out, and you see all those hats laying out in the field, on the
They're
side of the
all
mountain.
your hats.
Yeah, they're all the same hat, but there was hundreds of hats out there. And when you see that, in your mind goes like, it snaps, and you're thinking that Fallon was a clone, basically, but he wasn't. See, he was just a twin, a natural born twin, and they were twin brothers. They were identical twin brothers. So that's when you realize that he had been living basically his whole adult life as one person, to be able to become a famous magician, by using the twin in their show to be able to do certain acts that you wouldn't be able to do with a double, because they had a twin that looked identical. So
Now,
I thought that whole concept, the twists and turns that are going on throughout the movie, with the interaction between the characters and the rivalry going on between the two magicians, that all started from his wife drowning, which I thought was just, the whole movie was so tense, and it was so,
had a lot of suspense, had a lot of parts where you need to have a woman escort you through all the scenes, because women, God love you, but men don't watch things like the First 48 or True Crime Network, and women are doing amazing work by watching this stuff and helping solve mysteries.
I
You
thought
watch
it was, how could you not watch it? How could you not pick up on all the details, especially if you've watched it more than one time?
the details, the details are fantastic in this film, but
Hmm.
a woman watches this movie and they're going to come to the conclusions a lot faster than a guy. It took me like 3 times to watch it and finally see all the magic that was going on in the movie in front of your face.
Hmm.
That's part of the allure of this movie, that it does so much right in front of you, but you're too focused on things like, oh my God, Scarlett Johansson looks great. Look, her boobs are out. She's got a perfect smile. Blah 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 blah. Blah. And
Well, I guess women are lucky with that aspect, that I
take
mean,
care of things.
I thought both the men were very attractive. I thought the both the main actors were, very, handsome,
This is
very nice to look at. You know what I mean?
this is a
So,
very dapper movie.
that sexual, aspect of it was there. And yes, both the assistants were attractive. I mean, the actress that played
Piper
his,
Perabo.
yeah, she's in the TV show, the Yellowstone now. She's
I've
Harrison
followed
Ford's
her
lover.
since Coyote Ugly.
Hmm.
Which, if you are ever in San Antonio and you want to go to Coyote Ugly, go without me, because that place is kind of trashy. And when I say
Well,
kind of
you need to go
trashy,
to the one that's in Las Vegas, and I think it's in. I'm trying to remember the name of the casino. It's across the street from the MGM Grand, but I don't
okay,
remember the name of it. It's got a roller coaster and stuff outside, but it's got a Coyote Ugly bar in it. It looks just
okay.
like the one that was in the movie.
Me and my friend went to the one here when we were on vacation in 2014, and about 20 minutes of that, enough time to kill a beer, say, yeah, these chicks are kind of hot, but they're begging for money without stripping, and if we want that sort of entanglement, we'll go to a strip joint. And
Well, that's why I love that scene so much in that movie, that we both ended up not really enjoying too much, from the Cowboy Way.
yes,
Remember the scene where they're at the bar, and they're doing the shot,
hmm,
that's and they lick in the woman's chest and
yeah.
all that. Some they lick the neck and all that stuff. I thought that was I don't really like tequila, but I would do a shot of tequila to get to do all that fun stuff. because that was sexy. I thought, even though the rest of the movie wasn't real as good as we remembered when we were younger, but the first
That
time I
was
saw it, it was pretty good. But
that
as
movie.
watching as I was older, it wasn't.
We're going to talk about that movie a little bit here on our annual that we
Mm.
do in 4 weeks, because we're going to talk about some movies that affected us and movies that still keep coming up long after we did the review or discussion of it. And Cowboy Way seems to come up an awful lot. I'm just saying.
Well,
Uh,
there was different things in it that I really thought were great, and then the other things were really not so good.
yeah,
But
yeah,
this
yeah.
movie, I mean, I watched it this time really looking for bad stuff. I was really trying to be very intricate on searching out flaws. And honestly, I couldn't really find anything. I couldn't really find the music. I couldn't find anything wrong with this movie. I
Um,
really couldn't.
I we're not at that point yet. I love a lot of this movie,
Hmm.
but it's probably the most watchable Christopher Nolan film that I've watched.
Oh, I
Even
need to
though
turn my lights on. Hold on. Let me. I gotta crawl around and get my extension cord. Someone brought it to my attention.
yikes.
Okay, hold on.
And I like Coyote Ugly the movie just because of Piper Perabo and damn it, what's her name?
There, is that better?
There we go. Yeah, it looks really good with the lights.
I plugged them in.
Maria Bello is the other reason why I have a big happiness factor for Coyote Ugly. That's one of my favorite actresses. She's in a movie that we'll be watching for next week called Payback,
Hmm.
and that's
Another movie I haven't seen before.
what.
I
What do you
haven't
mean
seen
you've not seen Payback before? It's got Mel Gibson in it.
it. Has who in it?
Mel Gibson.
I don't remember seeing that one.
Oh, okay. We'll be watching the movie Payback. Um, Marie Bellows in the original Coyote Ugly movie. She plays one of the ladies that manages a bar, and it's not a great movie, but is it a fun movie to watch? Yeah, if you've got a wife or girlfriend, watch that with her, and make her feel a little special. Because most women want to have a power fantasy where they they are in charge of things, and Coyote Ugly kind of does that really well. It succeeds on that level.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah,
Payback.
we'll have to do that movie one day.
Yes.
But the part where was I again? Oh, where he's at Tesla's house, and then they show you a little bit of the rivalry and the awe of what's going on with Tesla during the time that he was doing experiments and stuff with electricity, which I thought was really, really intriguing when his assistant took Hugh Jackman up on the side of the mountain, and you saw all the lights behind them going off in the town. And they said they had an agreement with the city, with the people in the town, to use the generators at night while they were sleeping so that they could do their studies and their tests, because away from everyone, because the government didn't like Tesla, doing some of the things that supposedly he was doing that they didn't agree with. And you saw Hugh Jackman holding that light bulb after his assistant had handed it to him that was lit up. And then he pulls it out of the ground and hands it to him. And he's like, "Where's the wires?" And he goes, "Exactly." And then he takes it and he pokes it back down the ground and it lights back up. So basically, he was doing experiments out there with electricity that comes straight from the ground. And then later on, when he meets Tesla again, and Tesla is in that thing where it's like you see the electricity and stuff like bouncing off of his body, and then he walks out and he shakes hands with Hugh Jackman while he's holding that one of those light bulbs, and it lights up. And then when he lets go of Hugh Jackman's hand, the light goes off, and he said, "We conduct electricity, each human has so much electricity in their body, and when we multiply or something like that, we can perform more, make more uh, stuff. I just love David Bowie. I just thought he was so mystical. It's still mystical to me, even though he was just playing a regular man. And I thought he did a great job at it. He was a very good actor.
He sold the part of Nikolai Tesla very well. I thought I really enjoy this movie for the fact that it tries to get a little historical, a little bit along the lines where like this possibly could have happened at one point. And I like that feeling of, it's real science fiction because it's science possibility. And that's
Yeah,
how science
and
fiction should be.
that's one of the things that I really was intrigued by, is because it gave a hint of realism of our past, about what Tesla might have been able to do. You know what I mean? What did he do? What kind of tests did he run? What possibilities through science? What kind of magic through science that he actually was able to perform? I just thought that was very intriguing for me, because I just love science, anyways, and I love sci-fi, and I love all that that whole aspect of all that angle that they use by throwing that in there, to mix up into it, to show you that lots of magicians do use science in their magic to make it look, phenomenal, whatever.
That's
So,
really good that you like science there, Janet. In the future, everybody's gonna like science a little more. You're gonna have boosters. You're gonna have boosters put in your cereal and the beef you buy from the store.
not me. I'm not. I'll never do that. And I didn't, unless they forced me. Well, we'll see. But I just thought that whole aspect, from that point of view, um, was phenomenal. I just loved it. It gave a hint of realism in all of it, in
Mhm.
everything, every aspect of the magic tricks and stuff, and why, when Tesla did make the box, because the part where Hugh Jackman um, is excited about the machine, when he finds the hats, and then they use the cat, and then he sees the two cats with the same collar and stuff on, of what the potential of what this actual science trick could perform for him, right?
Mhm.
So when he goes back and he sees the two, what was the name of that other company, the rival of Tesla?
Oh, that'd be Einstein.
Edison. The two Edison
Edison.
men,
Edison.
in their getting in their buggy and stuff to leave, and then you see him go up to the house, and you see the smoke coming up,
Yeah.
because they burnt down Tesla's house. So basically he had to leave. So he was devastated, thinking that all that money he'd spent to get this special machine made that was going to help him with the transported man, was gone. And another aspect of that popped in my head from another movie was The Fly. Remember
I was thinking
that?
of the Jeff Goldblum fly, not the Victor Price version.
No,
Not
the
the
one with
Gina
Jeff
Davis.
Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis
Yeah.
from '86.
So
Yeah.
the whole aspect of going from one thing to the other and being combined with The Fly kept popping in my head, which was, while I was watching it this time. So I thought that was very detailed, or interesting, that that aspect of science, has been used in multiple different movies. It seems like, even with Willy Wonka. When
Mhm.
he takes the candy bar and he puts it into the machine, pushes the button, and you see it up there in a million pieces, and they're all watching the little pieces flying through the air, and then it's put together when he dials the little TV set, to have it come back put together again. So there's been quite a few movies that have come out using science and different aspects of science, and how it could change the future by using different things that, just like me, like I talked about it many times with Star Trek, watching it as a young girl with my dad, watching reruns, and just envisioning myself sitting inside of a starship and getting to fly through different galaxies and stuff. To me, it's just exciting, the whole aspect of what could be and what's out there. Uh, through science is just amazing to me. And I wish every child could, I don't know, be able to perform science tests and things like that, and try to figure things out through the awe of science. And what kind of world we'd have? We'd have way more people that were interested in creating things instead of just going through the drive-through to get everything they want, because everything's already, it's a snap of a button or go through the drive-through and you got everything you need instantaneously, basically, almost like a transporter, or what is the thing that, whatever they call that, the replicator that makes your food for you. So I don't know. I believe that in the future we will have those things. I think they'll be real one day. I really do, because that's how much I believe in science. I believe that if you can do it in your imagination, someone someday is going to be able to figure out a way to do it, make it come to fruition. But
the good thing is that we live in this world, which necessity is the mother of invention. Give it time, and the things that you want will eventually be in front of your face. I saw a really good photo of a man that had a pocket calculator, a ghetto blaster, a video camera slung over his shoulder. He had a computer sitting on a desk in front of him and a few other instruments. And then the meme was, all these things are on your computer. And I thought, wow, that's completely true. I mean, I don't know many people nowadays that still use a ghetto blaster to put the music up in their shop. They've gotten rid of their ghetto blaster or their large radio. Now they just connect their phone to Bluetooth or auxiliary cable, and they will blast music from their little stupid iPhone. And that's what they do. We don't even buy physical media anymore, which really makes me sad, by the way. But you don't have people with CD collections or vinyl collections, especially. But I would imagine that in the future that collections will become retro chic at some point. I do appreciate this movie for showing us a lot of things which could have happened. Now, the part about the Edison company doing the thievery, Einstein company doing the thievery, that really, I think, was them just kind of poking the bear, because that's kind of what happened in reality. You had JP
no,
Morgan.
that's what I'm saying. That by intermixing a little bit of history or potential history of things that people think happened or might have happened that were covered up or whatever. I thought that was very intriguing. It had a little bit more intrigue and realism to what the machine was to offer. You know what I mean? That he built, because we didn't know. We saw him putting the machine together and going to test it out. And he had a gun there, not knowing, what was going to happen or whether he's going to have to protect himself from something, So to me, I just thought that was very intriguing. And then when you find out in the end of the movie what was actually happening because of the machine, you realize how demented and tormented and dark Hugh Jackman's character was, how he became a monster, basically, to be able to perform the things that he was performing at the end of the movie, which was way worse than anything that Christian Bale's character had done, for character arcs, if you know what I'm saying.
There was the personal drive of trying to find answers and closure on his wife's death, which stacked up on top of an already weakened psychosis. Because as much as I would love to be a man of means where I had money, I would rather be a man who has to struggle, because the struggle will steal your will, and you will be less affected. You'll still suffer hardship. You'll still suffer the consequences and the emotional loss of people that come in and out of your life. But a man of means can just go foster a new business relationship, where they can just go pick up a couple more employees. It's very metropolitan mindset. Gordon's character Bale perfectly portrayed a blue collar magician in this film,
Yep.
and
I loved the details they gave you during the whole time when they're telling the story with Christian Bale in jail. Okay, and he's sitting in the yard, with all the other prisoners. He's got ropes, or not ropes, but chains
chains on him.
and shackles on his wrists and his legs, right? And they got him extra shackled because he is a magician and he was a famous magician. So that one scene where he's sitting there drawing stuff on a pad of paper at the table, and one of the guards come over and is harassing him and picking on him about, ha ha, look at you, you look what you've become. You're just basically, he's a nothing and all that stuff. And he's got that ball, and he's playing with it, and he acts like he drops it. And the guards laugh at him, ha ha, look at you, you pitiful, whatever. And then when he stands back up and he starts to walk off, and the guard tries to follow him, he realizes that he took his shackle off his own leg and put it on the guard. So you did have a funny aspects where the other guards and the prisoners were laughing at the one guard for being a dick, basically, and how he used his sleight of hand and things like that to be able to figure out how to unhook his shackles and shackle up the mean asshole guard. I thought that scene was really, really good. It gave you a little chuckle there, because even though both of them were dicks, basically, were becoming dicks to each other and backstabbing each other, trying to, scratch an existence out and try to bring down the other one, right? You rooted for one or the other, depending on what happened throughout the movie. At least I find myself doing that. Did you do that?
I found myself rooting more for Jackman at first because he had lost and he had no idea he was as lost as he was.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as it sounds bad, I didn't really feel sorry much for Bale's character. Getting shot in the hand, that sucks. But we're going back to work on Monday. I mean, yeah,
and they made it look really bad when they unwrapped it and his wife's trying to help him. I mean, it looked like he had gangrene to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was going to lose his whole hand. That's what it looked like.
I'm going to post something in chat. If you guys want to go and try out this amazing tea that I have positioned here for obvious product placement, there's the link is in chat right here. It is from Blackout Coffee. It is a tea. They have teas. They have cocos. And they have programs. They have things to help you become a better you, a faster you, a quicker you. They have green tea. They have black tea. They have amazing coffee. They have coffee for those Keurig machines, which I really try not to use. They have beans. Everybody needs bean. Anyway, Blackout Coffee. There you go. All right. This movie, Janet, would you say that this movie deserves a sequel?
I don't know how you would make a sequel with this ending.
You don't.
Mm-mm.
Well, let's play.
The only thing you could have on this would have to be with Michael Caine.
Nope.
With him knowing what happened and what's going to happen to that machine. Remember, he said he didn't want the other person to get it, because the thing is, at the end, when Christian Bale, goes to the show, when he's trying to figure out why he's having 100 shows, why is he doing it this way, what's going on, what are these people, these blind stagehands locking up every night and covering up in this wagon and taking it off? What's in it? What's going on? What the secrets are? So basically Hugh Jackman's character has become you think he's become to the point in his life where he's realized that this obsession is got to end, basically. And you see that he seems more happy with where he is in his life. You know what I mean? At least Michael Caine sees him that way, right? But Michael Caine is not backstage anymore. He doesn't know what's going on throughout the whole thing. You know, like the scene where Fallon is following Hugh Jackman's character as he's following um, Christian Bale's character, and Hugh Jackman used that because he was wanting the second person, whoever was involved. They were trying to figure out who the double was, or who the other person was helping him with his act, right? And he knew they were probably following him, and that he was following Christian Bale's character. So when he did that and he snuck around and went down the alley, and he couldn't help himself but follow him to find out what's he doing? Why isn't he still following Christian Bale's character? So he follows him up, and then when Hugh Jackman, you saw him going up this flight of stairs, you see him leap over a couple stairs, but you don't understand. You just think he's in a hurry. And then when he goes up the stairs, he falls through a hole in the stairs because the stairs give away, and he falls into a casket underneath. And then you see Michael Caine's character nailing it shut when he falls in. So Michael Caine was doing a naughty deed at that time, when he had been acting like he was a really upstanding person that didn't believe in, he knew about getting his hands dirty, like killing a bird or two or whatever, but you didn't think that he would stoop down to putting a man in a casket and taking him out to the graveyard and burying them, So little things like that jumped out, I thought were really, really good and intriguing. Things that happened that you weren't expecting, because I didn't know what was going to happen. And when he fell through the floor, and then you see Michael Caine hammering the lid on this casket to trap the Fallon, right? And then later you see Hugh Jackman, walking around at the graveyard, and then he sees Christian Bale show up. Yeah, because he knew that Fallon was missing, and he knew that they had something to do with it. So I thought that whole intrigue, entwining of those two characters, I thought that was really, really good. And they also brought in Michael Caine. So Michael Caine's hands were a lot dirtier than we expected, right? But when it comes to the final scene, which I didn't know if you're ready to talk about it or not. Are you?
Go ahead.
Okay. So when it comes to that final scene where he's got the one of the biggest entertainer people, in London, that's going to back this magic show. They get him to come there. Michael Caine gets him to show up there to see what the special show is going to have in it. And when he sees Hugh Jackman perform the transported man, he looks at him, and he gets that look on his face like, oh my God, this is real. He really transported from one place to the other. Okay. But what's so cool about that is he tells him, you have to dumb it down some, make it look like it's not real. So he believed it was real. Okay. But the fact that you see during the actual show, the one where Christian Bale shows up, and he's, kind of in a disguise a little bit because he looks a little bit different, and he's sitting in the audience and he's watching that one part, you get to see a close up of the actual thing that Tesla had built, and he's standing on that, right? Hugh Jackman's character standing on that, and then the lightning bolts come down, and he's being covered with this thing, and you hear the big zap sound of the electricity turn off, and then Hugh Jackman's gone. But you see the trap door shutting in that one part. Just for a split second, you see the door shutting on the floor of that, right? So you're like, did he really snap and go over to the other place, or did he really fall into the floor? For a few seconds there, you don't know what happened. You don't know, because you still don't know for sure what's going on with this box that Tesla left him right after his place burned down, because we didn't get to see that part of it. We just see him show up over here after he leaves that other spot, but you don't know where he went, when he did it. So that whole thing is intrigue for us as a viewer. Still, we're still left in the dark, not understanding for sure what's going on, because we know he doesn't have a twin, right? Because throughout the whole movie, we know he doesn't have a twin. But we already know that Christian Bale's got a twin. That's how he does it. That's why he's intrigued. He's trying to find out how in the heck he's doing this, because he doesn't have a twin, and he doesn't have that other guy helping him anymore, the drunk that they'd found, right, to be his double. So that whole thing is just really, really intriguing. So he starts following him, both of them. Him and Fallon are taking turns watching, trying to find out what's going on and try to put two and two together. So when they see each night after the show that the blind men, stagehands in the back, are bringing out this cloaked tank or whatever, or something, and putting it in the back of that wagon and hauling it somewhere. So they end up following where it is going. Okay. And I think each night while he was doing that, saying that he was only going to have 100 shows, he was waiting for someone to show up and see, to see what's going on. Well, what he was waiting for was Christian Bale to actually get enthralled enough to where he would break in and try to get backstage and see what was going on. And that's because he knew that's what he would do. And he was right, because he did. And when he did, and he saw who fell through the floor, and he saw Hugh Jackman's character drowning in that tank, he's like, he can't find the lock. Because normally earlier when you watched it, when Michael Caine was explaining to the judge, when a person falls into this tank, there's a slot right here. You can open it and your hand can reach out and undo the lock, because it's a fake lock. It's not a real lock. That's why they have plants to check the lock and the chains and all that stuff to make sure they're real when they're not, because they're not really real. They're fake. They got places where they can get out. They're not real chains and not real locks. So when he showed him that this is a real lock on here, this is not a fake lock. So this person that falls in there would die. There's no way they could get out unless someone busted the tank open fast enough to get him out. So when Christian Bale sees Hugh Jackman's character trapped in that, he grabs something and starts beating on the glass to break it, because he's trying to save him. He's not trying to kill him. He didn't want him dead. He didn't hate him and want him dead, but Hugh Jackman wanted Christian Bale's character dead, because he believed that he was so obsessed with everything that happened. And we still don't know at this point in time in the movie about whether or not he even remembered what type of knot he tied that night, whether he tied the right knot or the wrong knot. So much was going on, and he didn't remember. So we still don't know if he did it on purpose, which I don't think he did. The longer I went through it, the more I felt bad for him, because I don't think the real, not Fallon, the other one, the Christian Bale's the one who had married Sarah. I don't think he knew. I don't think he really remembered. I don't. I think the trauma of it, he couldn't remember which one he tied, and I really believe that. So I started feeling sorry for him after that part, when I realized that he was being set up by Hugh Jackman's character, because he knew that he was going to become so obsessed to find out what's going on down there, because he's just like him. He's a magician, and you want to know how this trick is done. That's all you care about, is figuring it out so you can do it for yourself. So when he went down there and saw him and tried to save him, that's when Michael Caine found him And then that's when he was dead because he had drowned it before he could get the thing open.
We could get it
So
open.
that's why Christian Bale's character got arrested for murder, because from what everything, the rivalry and stuff, the way it would work out, and Hugh Jackman knew this, that when he fell in there and died, that um, darn it, Christian Bale's character would be accused of murdering him, but he really didn't murder him. he murdered the clone.
Process of trying to save him.
Yeah, but he murdered a clone. It wasn't really him. So when that whole place started on fire, and that's when Michael Caine found all of the other tanks with the other Hugh Jackmans in them, all of them.
Prestige materials. They're
Yeah.
prestige materials.
Well, they were all Hugh Jackman clones that as soon as they were made and they fell from the thing, the original one that walked in there during the show fell into the tank and drowned. And the other one that was made, the identical Hugh Jackman, which is a clone that knows everything he does at the moment he goes into that tank, appears up in the other area away from. That's why Hugh Jackman had to make 4 or 5 of them before he built the stage and cleaned the place up, because he had to find out. Remember what he said? It's not precise. Science is not precise. Okay, remember when Tesla said that? And that's why the hats were appearing away from where the thing was. He just didn't know they were appearing there because they didn't know where it was going to appear. So Hugh Jackman had to do the test a few times to find out where his new person was going to appear, himself. And when he realized it was up in the balcony area, that's when he said, okay, that's where I'm going to appear after the show. When I transport and the other person disappears because nobody can see down there, they're blind, the 3 stagehands. So they'd fall into the tank and drown, be locked and trapped. They'd cover it up and get rid of it and take it to the warehouse, is where they had all these corpses. And he did it night after night, waiting for Fallon and Alfred to show up so he could frame him for his murder when he wasn't really dead. See, because the night where he doesn't come back up, when he sees that Fallon's down there, he doesn't show up. At the end of for the Prestige, he doesn't show up because everybody thinks he's dead. So that's how and then he went back to his rich life with his rich family, back to where they were at, and took that persona back. Because remember, he was living as a magician, but with money, but he had his name was different because he didn't want to embarrass his family. Remember, he told his wife that when they were talking about it. Yeah, I told my family I wouldn't, use my real name, blah, 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 because it's embarrassing. So that's when she said the Great Denton, when his wife came up with that name. And that's why he used that name when he finally became famous as a magician. So I just thought that was really, really good, the way that they brought the science and technology stuff into it, and clones, I just thought all that was really, really, really good for the movie, for the ending of it, to see the real Prestige, what was really happening. And that because of Tesla, he was able to do that. And that's why Michael Caine said, this machine needs to be destroyed, because he knew the potential of what it could do for others, for humanity, basically. So I thought that was really good. So what do you think about the ending?
What I thought about the ending was, I thought it was pretty impressive. It had a lot of callbacks, and when I first heard of this movie, I wasn't impressed by it. And Christopher Nolan, not on the radar.
Mm-hmm.
And then after The Dark Knight, I heard a friend talking about it. And so I asked, what are you talking about? And he gives me the entire movie spoilers. So I have no agency to see it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I see other Christopher Nolan films, and Inception, Interstellar, Batman Rises, or The Dark Knight Rises. there's three movies that are right in almost a row that when I went to go see these movies at theater, I go there bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but I fall asleep in the theater,
Mm-hmm.
and I blame Chris Nolan. So now I have a negative opinion of Chris Nolan. So I go and I rent this movie out and I watch it, and it's okay. I just saw it last couple days,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all right. But I know the plot thanks to my friend Eric, who never fails to skip over the spoiler parts. He just goes right into it, plows right into that.
Yeah.
Like Starship Enterprise and Star Trek Into Darkness, which doesn't really exist in my head, but it exists in reality. Um, and we're forced to. This movie has a lot of good things about it. The ending, they could have made a whole nother movie instead of Act Three
Mm-hmm.
because of all the various twists and turns and things that happen. There could have been a whole nother movie done. Jess, Al's character, Al Borden's character, could be the character that's the main focus of the sequel in the turn of the century, The Prestige 2. And I keep thinking of this because she's of age now to where she would make a good leading lady for a film, and you have a good setup. You have, if we could bring back Chris Nolan, and we could just have her asking Cutter to let her be part of an act. Just let her do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of rich potential there because I know a lot of people that they grow up in their parents' footsteps. And they ignore that drive for a while, but then finally when it comes time to making money, they've been around this business for so long they go right into what their parents did and they're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
They're good at it. They're amazing. And I think Jess would be if you look at her IMDb, beautiful girl. She'd make a good character for a turn of the century London movie. And we have an opportunity to do that. In fact, this is the best opportunity we've ever had to where we have, strong women, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, here you go. Here's a young white girl that she's following her parents' footsteps. Her daddy was a magician. And I think it would work. I really do. I know that they would do
What's
phones right.
interesting too about that would be that you remember he's still alive.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman's character is still alive that knows what happened,
Yes.
knows the truth about it.
Yeah. And I would love to see that movie happen, but that was what I was thinking of on the third viewing. And I didn't really enjoy watching this movie because of how Chris Nolan sets his movies up and how he does his 110 time jumps throughout this film. After the third watch, I'll never see this movie again. And I love this movie. Don't get me wrong. It had some great things to it. I just can't stand the way Chris Nolan sets up a film.
Let's see.
And he's
I'm
very
so thankful that I can get totally past the directors. That it's to me, once the movie's made, the director is no longer involved. I mean, that's how I look at it. What carries a movie to me is the story and the actors, and whether the people that are watching it are pulled into it and believe the story. You know what I mean? Just like what was it, Legend that we watched?
Yep.
To me, I never even think about it. I don't really. When you're on a set, working on a set, you're thinking about the director because the directors are always right. The director, whatever the director says, everybody does. Okay, they lick his butt basically, or her butt, whoever it is. But once that's done and it's put together and it goes out and is now in the realm where we are now, we are the boss. It's what we want. If we don't like it, we don't go back to see it again. Or we tell our friends that movie was terrible. They don't buy a ticket. Okay. So that's the person who ends up basically getting a brand on him. It's like what you've done. You've branded him. You've given him what you think he deserves, and someone else will brand him differently. You know what I mean? But see, I
And
don't
it makes
even
me
look at
happy
it
that
that
others
way.
like him. And
Huh?
I value his work he does. There's things he does in his movies, like the time jumps or the way he edits. There's a disconnect that happens with me with Chris Nolan films.
Hmm.
Like I tried to watch Memento. I tried. And you know what? I fell asleep. I didn't even finish that movie. I just ignored it. I let the timer expire in the rental period. All right, here's your DVD back. And that was how that worked. I wanted to like it. I wanted to watch it. I love Carrie Ann Moss,
Hmm.
but you know what?
Well, I
And
didn't. I loved this movie. I did not feel any way at all through the whole movie where I would fall asleep during the movie. I mean, it was just so much packed into this movie. I mean, golly, wasn't it like over 2 hours
yeah, this is
long?
a very big movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was over 2 hours long, and I didn't feel like it was that long at all. It was very intriguing. I mean, even the little people in this movie, the assistant to Tesla, was a damn good actor. I've seen him in other things, but he was
It's Andy Serkis.
believable. He
Andy
was
Serkis.
yeah, and he was believable for the part that he played. Every person in this movie, um, even the children, the few children that were in this movie, they did an excellent job at seeing, making me see them as a believable person in this movie. I just loved it. But I love this period anyways. I love the 1800s. I love the clothing, and I love London. I just love the way, I just love the buildings. I just love everything about it. The I just loved it. Okay, I don't know what else to
I'm
say it,
getting
but
the feeling
it
you just
was
loved
it
it.
was very entertaining too. It kept you involved. It kept you throughout the whole thing. It made me. I mean, I didn't even want to get up to get anything to drink or to pause it or anything. I just wanted to watch it. I didn't want to leave the screen because I was like I couldn't wait to see what was around the next corner. You know, it was so involving, and the way that even though at the beginning when you see it, you don't put it together with the hats. When you see the hats at the very, very beginning, you don't put it together until you see it again, that scene in the movie. And then you go, oh, that makes sense now. I don't, how does that, where the hats come from? Why are those hats laying all over the ground? You don't understand that until later on when you find out the machine that Tesla's building. And even Tesla tells him when he leaves, you know, you should destroy it. It should be put in the bottom of the ocean, basically, because he realizes that this is the potential that this machine could have on humanity, basically. And see, that's another thing that's even happening right now that people are talking about. You got people making, we're growing embryos, calf and sheep embryos in bags in a laboratory. They don't even have to have a womb now. So they're growing an embryo to birth in a bag in a lab. It's not through a woman or through the parent, the mother is not having to carry it to full term to bring it to life. So, you know, all of this stuff, you know, means something. That's one other reason why I thought this movie was so intriguing. Maybe that was one of the reasons why I wanted to watch it again, because of the story inside the story is coming to fruition. You know, just like I said, science. We don't know what capabilities science can bring, but when you don't need humans anymore to give birth, or cows to give birth, or chickens to hatch an egg, all these different things, because we're doing it now. Science and technology doesn't need it. You just need a couple cells, and you can clone meat for people to eat. Clone
I,
meat.
I thought you said clone me, and I said, there goes my chat. They're gonna say clone Janet. Yes, make one, please.
Oh my God, what kind of planet we would have if there was more of me running around?
More Janets in the world. Oh God.
I don't know how that would be. I don't know if that'd be a good thing or not, honestly. I think one of me is way more than enough. But no, really, do you think about it? Clones, real clones.
I
You remember
remember
that?
the
There was
sheep
another
in
movie.
1996.
Do what?
I remember the sheep in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Yep. And the little
And
girl that was grown in a lab. Remember, she was a test tube baby.
yep.
Now, she wasn't grown in a bag in a lab. She was made, her conception was made in a test tube when her life began. And then she was planted into a woman's womb to give birth. But now we can actually take an embryo, two cells, a sperm and egg, put it together and put it in this bag, and it can grow and get a placenta and everything to feed it and take care of it, just like if it was in a womb, but it's not. It's in a laboratory in a bag that's heated, keeps it warm, has the flowing of the fluid in there and everything. It's really, we're going to be women's wombs are going to be obsolete. They won't need them anymore. And now that's why you hear of all these people that are now men or women that were men once are saying that one day they'll be able to give birth. And maybe they're right. Take a woman's womb out and put it into a man and be able to have him give birth.
Ew.
Yeah. Just think about it.
Ew. No.
Well, you don't want to do it, but a person that wants to become a woman, thinking that that's what they want to do, and you don't need a real woman anymore. You can just have babies, like the movie. What was the movie we watched? Logan's Run.
Yeah, Logan's Run.
Remember? And the whole thing was utopian society, and you die when you turn 30 because you're too old to get rid of you. And all the babies were grown in the laboratory. So, science and technology one day is going to run everything. I mean, rule. That's your food, your cloned meat, your cloned fruits and vegetables. Just like we one day might even be, like I said, a machine that just produces whatever it is you want to eat at the push of a button, and it's done all genetic and with just science provides it. I mean, I've posted a bunch of stuff on Twitter called this one thing called celebrity meat. Did I show you that?
No, I've
Where
heard of
taking
this,
like
but I haven't seen it yet.
cells from the thigh or something of stars. They sell their like they go in and have a reduction where certain things are taken off and reshaped to make them look better. And then they take the cells and they clone them, and then you can have salami and stuff made. And it's basically cannibalism, but they're doing it right now. People are buying it and eating it.
I don't know why. I
Lunch
just
meat.
thought maybe some pepperoni would be delicious.
Yeah, but made from like I don't know, what was her name? I can't remember that celebrity that has her own talk show. She's a lesbian. What's her name?
DeGeneres?
Yeah,
No.
Ellen DeGeneres. Just think about it. If you could have her cloned meat and make salami out of it,
Why would I want to
would
lick a
you?
carpet? I don't want to lick carpet.
I want to lick carpet, Mom.
If you could eat someone, if you could get online and buy somebody's meat from like Jenna Jameson or whatever. If you want to eat Jenna Jameson for lunch, you could just cut off a couple slices of salami and make a sandwich made from her genetic cloned meat.
I'm so happy that Jenna Jameson is based as fuck can be. She is so absolutely based. And it makes me so happy that, I don't think she's like a Christian, turning her life over to Jesus and all that, but I think she is somebody who values the natural order of things. And, she understands that men will want to, in the future, look at women who are naturally women without a wound that's incised upon their groin and without a dangling bit that doesn't work anymore. We want to look at a woman who's the way they're supposed to be. Blah, and I wouldn't trust that meat, says Cronus. Neither would I.
Well, you want to be what God made you. I mean, how you popped out of your mom and what you look like and what you grew into naturally without having to be enhanced by, science or whatever. But we've been doing that for a long time with what? Liposuction and breast implants and people. I mean, I was at a store.
That's like a tier 1 or stage 1 augmentation. That's really not too involved. That's just like somebody getting false teeth.
But it was when it first started. I mean, think about it. I saw an article. God, this was a couple years back, and it was a Chinese man. I think it was Chinese or Japanese. It was an Asian man who was suing his wife for a divorce, but he was wanting damages from her because their children were ugly. He said they had 2 kids and they were ugly. And he said, but he didn't realize how ugly his wife was because she had paid to have so much cosmetic surgery. She had her nose done. She had her teeth done. She had cheek implants and all this stuff. So when their kids were born, they were really ugly. It's what he was saying in court. And I was like, that's horrible. But basically that's what it is. You think about it. Okay. You meet someone, you go on a few dates, and then you fall in love and you get married. And then later on, you're visiting the family and you see pictures and you're like, who is this person in the photo? And they'll go, that's your wife. They're like, huh? It doesn't even look like her. It's because she had so much plastic surgery, he didn't even recognize her. And he probably never would have gave her the time of day if he'd seen what she looked like before she had all that surgery or whatever. I mean, I've met a couple women and, I don't always wear makeup. I mean, I like to wear makeup. It makes me feel pretty, if I can enhance my eyes more or put fake eyelashes on or put lots of lipstick on and roll my hair and make it curly, because I want to look a certain way depending on my mood, right? But I remember meeting a couple girls in high school, and I never saw them without makeup. It was like they always had makeup on. And I asked them, I said, well, what do you look like without makeup? Oh, I won't let anybody see me with that makeup on. I'm like, why? And they go, I just think I'm ugly and I don't want anybody to see me. So, a lot of people are obsessed with it, not wanting anyone to see what they look like without their makeup. I can understand why some people would. And that's why I tell guys, if you want to see a woman, what she really looks like, go to the gym. Because most women, they're just wearing sweatpants. They're not wearing makeup because they're just going to sweat, if they're really working out. So you're not going to look so good when you're at the gym. So, places like that, or someone that's doing yard work or something like that, they're not going to be all dolled up and ready to go out. But when you go out to the club and meet a woman, and pick up a girl, you're not getting to see her what she normally looks like on a daily basis. She's already fixed up because she's out on the prowl. Like I want to look nice when I go out. I don't want to, I'm not looking for a guy when I go to the gym and I'm not fixed up. So I see some girls though that do fix themselves up. I've had a few girls that are wearing these skin tight little, jogging pants or whatever. You're not jogging pants, but with spandex pants. And then they got the thong on the outside where it goes up their butt, and their makeup's perfect and their hair is up in these little bun or a beautiful ponytail or something. And I don't even see them sweat the whole time they're there. It's like they're there just to, get phone numbers or something. I don't know. But when I leave the gym,
we call that the attract mode. It's like walking past a video game that's got all the bright flashing lights. And so you stare at the screen for a second until you read insert a quarter. You're like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah. Well, it just depends on what you're looking for. I mean, I've had a few guys that say, well, I want to meet a good girl. I want this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, every time I see you, the girls you got on your arm, they look like they took a long time to get ready. They spent hours fixing their hair, putting makeup on. They had to have the exact right this, that, and the other because they were all put together. So if I ever get to see you with a girl and you're going to go horseback riding or you're going to go, play baseball or softball or something, then you're going to, then you're going to meet a girl that's not afraid to get sweaty and, not be perfect. If she's not perfect and you can accept her being sweaty and dirty or whatever, then you get to see what she would look like not made up. Then you're going to have yourself a better relationship, I think, because you get to actually see each other without all the makeup and, dolled up or whatever. But guys do the same thing. I've met guys that won't go anywhere unless their hair is combed perfect or they're wearing the right clothes or whatever. So it just depends. I guess depending if you're in the city or if you're in the country.
Before I got married, I had on these. I used to wear these shorts out. Okay. These were my standard shorts I would wear
Mhm.
at all times. Yep, I made you look, fuckers. All of you. You get punched in the arm. Okay. So I have 5 pairs of those shorts. And people see me walking around with those on, and they're like, God damn it. Here. And they offer me their shoulder, get to punch it. And finally, one day I was with another one of my buddies, a military vet. He didn't see it, but he saw the after effect of me punching a guy in the arm because he sees that circle. He's like, God damn it. What are you doing? And I'm like, you see my shorts? He's like, you've got the game shorts? Fuck you. And I loved it. So I wear these out whenever I can. And I'm pretty okay with it.
Well,
And,
most of the time I'm just wearing jogging pants or blue jeans, whatever, but I like to get my nails done. I do get my fingernails done because I like it. I was a tomboy for so long. This is what's so funny. I had 2 sisters that were beauticians, one above me, one below me in age. And they always were to the nines all the time. I mean, it took them forever to go to school, to do anything, because they always had to have their hair perfect and their makeup perfect. And I just remember putting my hair up in a ponytail and putting a ball cap on. I never gave a crap. I just didn't care. And then when I was in 11th grade, my mom made me sign up for classes on the weekend. And she would drive me there because they taught me how to do my makeup, and they taught me how to sit like a lady, and you cross your ankles, your feet at the ankles, and how to set a table and all this stuff. And I was like, I asked my mom, I was like, why are you making me do this? And she said, well, I just want to make sure that you can be a lady. And, I think she thought I was on the other side of the fence, if you know what I'm talking about.
you mean
But
like Ellen DeGeneres?
yeah,
Or
maybe.
Rosie O'Donnell?
But I wasn't. I just told my mom, I said, I don't care. I'm just not interested in that. I don't think that's important. But it was so funny is that one of my sisters told me, my sister Sandy, she said, she's, when I started doing all this, most of this kind of stuff to make a YouTube channel, and I was doing TikTok videos and stuff, and I was fixing myself up. I was putting makeup on and wigs and doing all costumes and doing all this different stuff. And she's like, I like this, Janet. I wish you were around when we were in high school so I could have fixed your hair and done all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I missed it. I missed out. I didn't realize how fun it was, to go. And I tell you right now, I still don't like shopping. I mean, I got sisters that can go shopping and spend 8 hours at the mall. And I'm like, oh my God, I just want to jump off a bridge. I'm still not into it. That's not exciting to me. But I really like being able to fix my hair, putting perfume on, or doing my nails and picking out jewelry and all that thing. I'm a late bloomer, I guess, but I enjoy it now. I never thought I would. And I never thought I'd like being dressed up, but I guess it's in every girl. It just has to, I don't know, manifest or something. I don't know, but I do enjoy it now. I mean, I don't do it all the time. I still can be slouchy and
I'll have to try that with my wife one of these days. We don't go shopping that often. We will pick things up from the store at the end of a work day, and then we hurry home because we're very acclimated to our home, but we don't really go out much, and that's kind of okay. I kind of like that lifestyle. I've lived it very well for the past few years. But now, whenever there's something to do, like I got vet friends in town, like Bruce, come on down to Dirty Nellie's. I'm like, I'll be right there because that's a little. It's a little bar down underneath a hotel downtown. My favorite bar. They closed my other bar that's on the other side of the block here, which was going to go to that St. Patty's Day, but instead I end up on a stream with some friends of mine. That happens. Thank you, Max. So, we do that, and that we don't go out and we're not social, quote unquote, people. We have our own social things going on, but we don't go out.
Mhm.
And so that being said, uh, I've not really gone shopping with her. Like there was one day where she was not feeling good. So I'm like, let's go to the art store. And then I told her, I'm like, buy whatever you want. And she's like, what? I'm like, whatever you want, throw it in the basket. What do you mean? You like crafts, right? Well, yeah, I like crafts. Anything you want, get it. Because I just wanted her to have an outlet. I need you to have an outlet. You need somebody to be able to, when you get home, have if you're not going to do anything else, but focus on a hobby. I mean, if watching Netflix is your life, go ahead with that. But she does her crafts, and so I bought her a bunch of stuff, and that was what I wanted her to be. I don't want her to be bored. I'll just say that. That's the worst thing in the world. I have this desk. I'll never be bored a day in my life. I have the internet. Thank you all for being here. But I'm very much a person. I don't need a lot of interaction or a lot of exterior influences for me to find something to do. I get home, I shower, I eat, I come in here. And this is what I want to do. And that sounds so weird for some people, but I just can't go out to bars. Now, when I was a young kid, going out to bars was everything. But I didn't realize, hey, you're wasting your money until later. So, such is life.
Yeah, I haven't been to a club in God. I mean, to go out and just to dance and drink and stuff. God, at least 10 years, maybe. Um, Now I've gone to a couple of restaurants and had a few drinks, and they had like a little dance area to the side, and you could they had little bands that would come in and you could sing along, stand up and sing along, with your friends at your dinner table or whatever, and that kind of stuff. So, and then gone to barbecues where we had loud music or a couple of 4th of July parties, things like that. So I still do that, and then I just listen to music in my house and dance around while I'm doing housework and laundry and all that kind of stuff. But it's not the same thing. I don't know. I think we all get to an age where it's just not cool anymore or whatever. It's just a waste of money. And also you don't want the hangover anymore. The hangover is like, it's not worth it. When you spend 3 days throwing up, get dehydrated and whatever else, it's just not fun. Maybe if I had somebody to that liked to party with me, I could go partying with them. But what was really sucky about, I guess maybe why I didn't enjoy it as much, because I was always designated driver. So I was always having to, I had all my like 6 girlfriends that were all drunk. I'd have to make sure they weren't getting in fights, or, one would wander off and I had to go find her at the bathroom and bring her back and get them all in the van and put their seatbelts on and stuff. Whatever, it's just not as fun. So
now the last time I was really involved with drinking quite a bit was when I was in the oil field about 8 years ago.
Mhm.
And we were in Laredo, Texas, which I probably don't need to go to ever again. And Laredo's not a bad town. There's a lot of good things there, but it is a dangerous town in certain mindsets and certain environments. I mean, it's more of a dangerous town than my hometown of Decatur, Illinois. But I'll say that we were there. We were drinking quite a bit, and then the next town we had to get stuck in for oil field work was San Antonio, and that was great because I got a chance to discover San Antonio. But one day, I'm driving this super big tractor into work, getting ready to. Before I leave the hotel, I get a phone call from my supervisor, from the opposite shift supervisor, and they're like, "Bruce, I need you to come to this location, pick us up. I'll be right there." So I take this sleeper cab over to the strip joint, and I pick up all the guys, and we head out to location with a bunch of guys that haven't gotten out of their clothing, haven't had a shower yet. Oh, they smell like a strip joint, and they're all covered in glitter. Well,
Oh, I was going to ask something, but I don't think I want to know the answer, so I want to ask.
so we go out there, and that was like when I realized like they had done that. I'm like, I'm not going to a strip joint as long as I have a job the next day that I have to be there at 5 a.m. That's bad. It wasn't good. I'll just say that. So after I drop them off, I take my off shift supervisor. I take him back to the hotel, drop him off so he can sleep because he's going to spend the day in bed. He can get away with this. The other guys, they're going to be trying to limp through the day. And here I am, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and got to be on the pad with one of like a handful of people. We should have like 20. No, I packed in everybody like a bunch of Mexicans in a truck. Anyway, so it was just kind of a fun situation. And on the way back from that job that day, a friend of mine tells me the story of how one night they had a similar situation in San Antonio, no less, where Zoe gets a call. And Zoe, come over to this location. We're at the Palace. We got to get picked up for work. Come on, let's go. And so Zoe just gets in a white van because you have white vans, the company vans, and so you go outside, you grab the company van, and off you go. Well, as Zoe's driving along, Zoe starts to realize there's a lot of red coveralls slumped over these seats. The guys that were in these vans left their coveralls from work in the van.
Mm-hmm.
And Zoe realizes that this van's nicer than our company van. He's not in our company van. He's in the Halliburton van. And so these things have happened. Like these are repeated things. And that's one of the other reasons why I left that company, because things don't change. You have situations like that happen too often. After Zoe dropped off everybody from work at the pad, he had to take the van back to the hotel and get in the right van. And the Halliburton guys are all stacked up without their gear in front of the van, in front of the hotel. They're like, "What the fuck?" He's like, Zoe's like, "Hey, I'm sorry. You parked right next to us. I didn't recognize your vehicle, and you leave your keys in your vehicle just like we do. So you could have taken our van." And they're like, "We ain't taking that piece of shit." So there were some fun things we had. This was Kronos. This was a company that I don't mind talking about. It's C&J Energy Services, now defunct, and that is a lot of stories. I could tell a lot of stories. Just I like Janet being my co-host, but she's a lady, and I don't want to tell a lot of stories about that job because there was a lot of stories that are not fit for female ears. It was bad.
Well, you need to have a little bull session or whatever in your Discord.
Yeah.
Where you guys can talk about that stuff. Or can you do that in your hot girls room?
Probably in the hot girls room. And if you want to know what Janet means by hot girls room, we have a spot on the Discord server for those of you that haven't discovered the internet yet, but you want women's photos. So there you go.
Yeah, I've been in there, and it's pretty risque in there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Janet, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate The Prestige?
Well, I really feel, gosh, I would give it at least an 8.
Okay.
Because I think I couldn't really find that much wrong with this movie. I mean, it was just little tiny technical things that I think really had to do with editing. When, especially towards the end, it was like they were rushed in a couple areas, but it's very, very tiny. I mean, very, very. You had to really look for them. I mean, this was like the 6th time I've seen the movie, so but this time I was actually looking, trying to find things that were wrong with
Find
it,
some detractors.
that stood out. But I really had a hard time trying to find anything because it was just so well made to me. I mean, I just could hardly find anything wrong with it. The acting was great. The music was great. The sets were great. The direction I thought was great. The screenplay was awesome. Um, the acting was phenomenal. You know, it was just anything with Michael Caine in it, though I have a hard time finding anything wrong with it.
There's only one movie of his that I watched that I kind of felt not like I was getting my money's worth, and that movie is Harry Brown, where it's a good movie.
Mhm.
It's a Michael Caine film where he's dealing with an influx of migrants into his neighborhood as a kipper, and he's one of the elderly people in this film that, you know, the family is eroding his savings, and he really wants to be able to live well. And unfortunately, between the family that's eroded his savings and the fact that his new neighbors are not good people, he goes to war with them. And it really it's almost a remake of 1978's Defiance with Jan Michael Vincent. And that's not a good movie. The Harry Brown's a much better, more refined film. But Harry Brown is the only movie that Michael Caine has been in where I felt like I wasn't getting my values worth, because it was such a point A to point B movie that you can see it coming. And
Mhm.
it's really just a question of how's Harry Brown going to solve the problem of these murderous and troublesome migrants. How's he going to get rid of them? You know he's going to get rid of them, and he's going to survive. But you have to watch to see that movie. And it's not a terribly inventive film. It's not John Wick. And this is after John Wick had come out,
Mhm.
and I've been spoiled because I've watched The Raid, I've watched The Raid Redemption, The Raid Barandal, John Wick 1, 2, and 3, and I love these films. But Harry Brown is it wasn't really what the doctor ordered, and I was
I haven't
expecting
seen
to be
it.
more like Nobody.
I haven't seen that movie, so I can't comment on it. But even Michael Caine, even him being in the movie with um, what was his name? Michael Myers movie,
Hmm.
where he was
Halloween,
do what? What'd you say?
a Halloween film.
No, it was the one, not that Michael Myers, the actor,
Oh, the
where he was
Canadian.
the British agent.
Oh, you're talking about the spy that shagged me.
Yeah, when he was in that and played his dad or whatever, Michael Myers, or what was his name? Uh,
Austin Powers.
yeah, Austin Powers, his father, when he was in that. And then he had, he just was funny in that movie. He was really funny, very entertaining. I just think he's a wonderful actor. He's very well versed. He's very good at playing tons of different characters, serious, comedic characters, whatever. And he's just very talented. I mean, it's just hard to find flaws in him because he's just good at what he does. He's very likable as a character. Even when he's a bad guy, when he's supposed to be rough and gruff or whatever, he's still good at it. And you can't flaw him, for not, I don't know, for being a bad guy or whatever, because he's just good at being. I mean, he's just good at acting. He's so good at it. And I just like him. I think he's a great actor. So I just have a hard time as each movie that I've seen him in. Now, what's really funny is what was one of my favorite movies was Secondhand Lions. Did you ever see
Great
that
movie.
one?
Great
So
movie.
that's one of my very favorite movies with him in it. He was just a believable, lovable man in that. It's one of my favorites. That's one of the movies that I definitely would want to
Want to talk
have
about?
us watch because for a good, heartwarming, family focused movie, I just really loved all the actors in it, and that was a really well made movie too.
Can't
He's
really go
just
wrong with
really
that.
good at picking good movies to be in. You know what I mean? Certain actors just seem to get these great roles in so many different movies, and then you have other actors they are really phenomenal in one or two movies, and then the rest of them are like, you know.
One of my favorite actors is Peter Weller,
Mhm.
and that's primarily because he was in the movie RoboCop, and he's been in a bunch of other films, a bunch of other
Mhm.
things. But he's a very versatile actor, and it's kind of cool that he's not been discovered by Hollywood. He's been in Hollywood movies, but he's not really a front top tier. He's not an S tier guy. He's more like a
Mhm.
B rated actor.
And
You
so
know, he
was
does,
Clint Eastwood for a long, long time.
yeah.
So
And I love Peter Weller because he's getting more and more talkative and does a lot more interviews. And so hearing him talk about the various things on these interviews is great. And I like hearing his discussions about everything. And I've been going through YouTube a lot, watching Peter Weller videos. And I know that sounds lame, but he's an actor. He's kind of like an actor's actor, and he lets you, if you can understand what he's saying, he's giving you a peek behind the scenes. And I think this movie has so much to offer people because the art of being a magician is the same thing as what we're enjoying right now, the art of those people making movies. And
mhm.
so there's a lot of
Movie
carryover.
magic, you
Yeah,
know.
it's so much carried over. So I was really happy to watch this movie. I'm going to give it a 7.5,
Mhm.
and that's going to probably be the highest mark you'll hear. I mean, The Dark Knight Returns is a good Batman film, but it's it's about these two movies are about the best they're going to be for Chris Nolan films. And I know you're like, I forget about it. The director's out. Well, you know what? He still made the entire film,
Who was
and this
the
is his
director
product.
for that one movie that I absolutely hate that I could never like Willie's Roadhouse? Is that what it was called?
Right, Willy's Wonderland.
Oh, Wendy's Wonderland.
Let me look.
I always get that wrong. But now, whoever that director is, he should never, ever be given money. Ever again. Now, I will definitely say that any person that volunteered to direct that movie and make that should never be
Director
able to.
Kevin Lewis.
He was terrible. That movie was horrid. The acting was horrid. The script was horrid. The scenes were cheap and horrid. The directing was horrid. Everything about it was just horrible. That was one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my life. Every aspect of it was bad. It
Um,
was just
the movies
terrible.
he's been affiliated with
The
are a
kids, okay.
Hearst.
I'll pick one thing in that movie that was halfway decent, and that was the children at the birthday party. That was it.
Okay,
I'll say
but
that. But oh
but
my God, it was bad.
the movies I'm looking through just on the Google search I just did,
Mhm.
there's not a single one of these movies I've heard of before. And I'm not a
That you
movie
did?
file, but I've
That
heard of movies
director?
before. Yeah, the
That
director
director?
Kevin Lewis,
Yeah.
haven't heard of
They
the movie
went
that Janet hates Kronos is Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage.
oh,
If you want to see a study in how not to make a movie, watch it. That's all I'm
if
going
you
to
want to
say.
see how to throw money in the toilet and flush it, I mean, I know some good writers that would die that just had the small budget this movie had to be able to make it, a decent movie. It was horrid. I couldn't even watch 10 minutes of it. It was so bad. I mean, after I choked my way through the birthday party, I was ready to claw my eyes out. After that, it was just bad. It was horrid.
The Last Valley, 1971. 30 Years' War of the 1600s. Oh, the Protestant Mercenaries War. Okay, cool. I'll have to look that up there. Six Nations, Three Kings.
What was it?
The Last War, the Last Valley. It's a movie set in the 1600s. It's one of Michael Caine's first movies.
I don't think I've seen it, but I would definitely probably want to watch it if Michael Caine starred in it.
Yeah,
Really,
I know that
I really
feeling.
like him, and I also love Gene Hackman movies. too.
Yeah, I was wanting to do a Gene Hackman film here, and because but then I said no, I want to do science fiction, and then we're talking tonight, and I'm thinking we're gonna watch Equilibrium after this. We're gonna watch Equilibrium, and I want to talk about that movie because that's a great movie.
So
But
is that the movie for next week? Is it
nope,
Equilibrium?
it
Oh,
is Payback because I started thinking about Coyote Ugly because we have Piper Perabo that gets killed in this film here, and she made her big screen, big splash debut with Coyote Ugly, which is a good movie.
mm-hmm.
It's not a great movie; it's a good movie. And if you have a girlfriend or a wife, or don't take them both to see it, but watch it with one of them, and you'll enjoy yourself, and the wife will enjoy it because she wants to think that like you're trying to see things from one woman's perspective, and it doesn't really get hard on the feminism bullshit, but it does show you what women do typically go through in a service job. It's not as cool as the movie Waiting. Okay, Waiting's a much superior film, but Piper Perabo does a very good job with this movie, and Maria Bello's in it, and she's one of my favorite actresses. So it's better than Showgirls. Um, yeah, Hackman just was seen last week. He's 93 years old and not looking great, but he is
Well,
not
you
on
know,
hospice care.
nobody can be a star forever. I mean, it's
He's
just like
93.
any job that you go and you get and you work, 7 hours, 10-hour days, or whatever it is that you work for your job to get your paycheck and go home. You work what, 30, 40 years usually? And then, you retire, you start to enjoy yourself and stuff like that, and reap the reward of what you put in the bank and your home that you made or you were able to buy and stuff like that. So, to me, that's why I look at it. I look at is actors should retire when they get to a certain age and not make terrible movies. I mean, look at Bruce Willis. He just had his 68th birthday.
Today.
Yeah, and his family. I saw a couple Instagram videos, and it was heartwarming to see him with his daughters. One of them pregnant, rumors pregnant, and it was just nice to see see him enjoying the fruits of his labor. I mean, he worked hard as an actor. He's retired from acting now, and he's enjoying his children and his grandbabies. And that's what you should do. I mean, you got to get to a point where you realize that you cannot be, you have to have 500 surgeries a year to try to stay young, stuff like that. And people should be more graceful. I mean, I've bumped into many stars, after they, years after they're, haven't seen them in anything. And I'm always just, oh, it's so great to see you. Can I get my picture with you? Can I get an autograph, whatever? And show them that I respected them for what they did and what they were able to achieve in their life. And I'm happy to see them, like anyone. I mean, if it was your favorite author, if you're sitting on a plane and you look over and you're sitting next to John Grisham or something, like that, you would be impressed. And it doesn't matter what they look like because he's a writer. So why would we treat actors any different? I mean, if they gain weight or, they got wrinkles now and their hair's gray,
I would love to get a photo with Casper Van Diem, who was in one of my favorite movies from 1997, Starship Troopers, and that's he's kind of a C-list actor, I mean, he's nothing big. You go to Comic Con, and you're going to bump into the guy. Like if you,
See, that's one thing I love. I think that Comic Cons and Wizard World and all those different little things that they have now, where an actor that hasn't been in a movie since, the 80s maybe or the 90s, and they're retired, but now they get to travel and enjoy what they did through the people that love them on those movies. Like I'm trying to remember the name of the actor. Damn, I'm terrible. There was an actor that Tommy Boy is what they call him. Not Tommy
Chris,
Boy. The other, darn, I'm trying to remember
the fat one that died in 19.
No, he's still alive, but he was in The Hitcher. He was in The Hitcher, and He was in God, I cannot remember his
Not
name.
Rutger
I got a
Howard.
picture of him in my living
Howard.
room, hanging on the wall. C. Thomas Howell, is that it?
See Thomas Howell.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. I went to a Comic-Con because I was trying to get comic books autographed by Stan Lee, okay, because he was going to be there, and I had a VIP for a Sunday to get to meet him and have him sign a couple of my comic books that he was involved in, because he was the only one left alive that had anything to do with a couple of the comic books that I had. And the day before, I wanted to dress up and everything, and I was just walking around enjoying it. And I look over and I see C. Thomas Howell, with stuff laying on his table and stuff. And my heart was beating out of his chest. I was just so excited to see him because I hadn't seen him in anything in a long time, but I knew who he was. And he was so nice and friendly. I got my picture taken with him. He gave me a hug and we talked about all kinds of stuff. And it was just so awesome to see them in that position. And I didn't even think twice about him being older, or if he was attractive or anything anymore, or looked like he could be in a movie or whatever. I mean, if I saw Hugh Jackman or Gene Hackman or anyone, I don't care if they're in a wheelchair, and I recognize them, I would be in awe of them. I would still say, oh my God, I love this movie that you were in, you were so fantastic, or whatever it is, just because I would be happy to see them and to be thankful for the entertainment and joy that I was able to get from the movies that I watched many, many times. I mean, if I saw Tim Curry, I'd probably pass out if I ever got to shake his hand in person or whatever, because I just love him.
Later.
Do what?
You want to see Tim Curry sooner than later.
Well, I would love to. I would love
to
to
see try.
But yeah, because they're all getting older now from when I was, a teenager, and from when I was, in my preteens, getting to see some of these people that just really, made an impact on my life, on things that I love and I still love. And I look around my office and it's like I get collections of tons of crap that other people might think is junk, but to me, it's my treasures. This is all I have. This is what makes me happy when I look at it and hold it, or I don't know. I just like it. And I know other people feel the same way, but I just really get bummed out when I see stuff and the people are showing pictures of like Kirstie Alley when she was heavy, and they're just mean. People are just mean and spiteful. They're jealous.
I'm gonna just commit a crime here. When Fat Actress came out, I watched every episode I could, and I still fapped off to her. She was beautiful. I don't care if you guys think I'm a chubby chaser. I thought Kirstie
I
Alley
thought she was beautiful. She had a wonderful. She was a wonderful person, inside and out.
I'm gonna be
very sexy,
completely lecherous on this. I still like Kirstie Alley. Kronos. Kirstie Alley was like the hottest woman in my late 80s, early 90s TV watching era, because you had her on Cheers and she was kind of fit and she had huge boobs.
Lieutenant Savick.
She looked better than Shelley Long, which, God, fuck you, Shelley Long, you suck. No, Shelley Long's fine. She was really good in the movie Caveman.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing it with Ringo Starr.
Yes,
and Dennis Quaid.
That's up for this year.
Yeah, we got to see that one. That was funny as hell.
We're gonna talk about every Dennis Quaid movie. Eventually,
we've seen a few of them already.
There's more. Bruce has already seen them on VHS and beta.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the only one I won't talk about is 2012, or no, wait, The Day After Tomorrow.
I'm really surprised when I started watching The Boys how much his son looks like him.
Yes,
his son looks so much like him.
Well, the other thing is, I'm very upset about how little Kurt Russell's son Wyatt has acted. Wyatt could continue on, and if he wanted to sully himself, he could do Disney movies like his dad did. Mm-hmm. Which Kurt Russell, early 70s, he did a lot of really good Disney films until he got together with John Carpenter and he finally became a man, being Slink Plissken.
The first time I ever saw Kurt Russell, I remember when he was a kid, was when he was on Gilligan's Island and he was Boy.
Yep.
He was
Yep.
a little jungle boy.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I think Kurt Russell is
it
like
was
the
a
iconic
rerun when I
one.
saw him, but I remember seeing him on TV.
Kronos, you're thinking of the movie Runaway. Kronos is thinking of the futuristic movie with Tom Selleck. That's Runaway. It has Gene Simmons in it.
Gene Simmons. I don't think I've seen that movie.
No.
Gene Simmons, the singer?
Yeah, he plays a bad guy.
I have not seen that.
Okay, I'll add it to the list.
I like Gene Simmons. I liked Kiss.
I used to like Gene Simmons until he became an authoritative twat for the fucking vaccine bullshit.
I remember I was in my bedroom. Okay, now you got to remember we had a 3-bedroom house, and it had 1 bathroom. And my dad we had 5 girls. Okay, and my parents. And I remember Dana had moved out. Okay, she was the oldest, and she had already moved out. And I can't remember if Kathy was in 11th grade or something like that. But I remember one of my friends had given me an album, because my mom didn't usually let us buy albums and things, especially if she thought there might be demonology in it, if you played it backwards, all this stupid stuff. My mom believed all that stuff. And we weren't allowed to get our ears pierced. We weren't allowed to get a tattoo. We weren't allowed to do, hardly anything. Now, she didn't make us wear dresses and all that stuff, but she did make me go to modeling school, basically, to try to make a girl out of me. But I remember my oldest sister one time, my parents were gone. I don't remember where they were at. They'd been gone for a couple of days. And I spent a lot of time in my bedroom just playing my records, and I remember my sister came running back there, and she beat on the door and then pushed the door open and said, "I'm going to break that record if you play that song one more time." And I don't remember the name of the song, but she hated it. It was
wait. You had a traumatic event with a song with your parent, and they said they're going to break
my
that.
sister. It wasn't my mother, because when my mom was there, I had to play it really low and sit right next to my record player. I had one of those ones that popped open, it was like a box, one of those. And I was sitting there, had the little speaker on the front, and I was sitting there, I'm dancing. I really like it. I don't even remember how old I was, but I had this Kiss album, and it was a song on it. And my sister came in, she busted the door open, and she's like, "I'm going to take that record. I'm going to break it. I'm going to throw it away or whatever. I hate that song. It sounds like Demons." And sorry, I try not to laugh too much, but I just remember looking at her like I'd never seen her so angry, and she had her fist in her hand, and she was wanting to just bash my record player. And I remember standing in front of it and putting my arms in front of it, and I was like, "Why?" And she said, it sounded like a devil song. She goes, "It sounds like I want to suck you off. I want to suck you off. I want to suck you off." And so I never played that song again whenever Kathy was home, because I was really afraid that she was going to come in there and break my record player over this song. And I can't remember the name of it right now, but that was a traumatic event for me, because I really thought my sister was going to beat me up and break my record player over a song from Kiss. It was a Kiss song, and I don't remember the name of the I still have that album too.
Yeah, that I know what song she's talking about, but I can't remember think of the title. It was. And I'll anyway.
But she was a huge. She was the one that went to Sunday school, and then Sunday school in the Wednesday night church and all that stuff at that time. She was really into, she's still a real big Christian, and I'm a Christian too, but I never listened to music thinking it was demons or any of that. I don't know, but that she turned into a demon. I thought she was going to.
I have a bigger problem with pop music.
Do what?
I have a bigger problem with pop music than I do heavy metal or hard rock, because the hard rock and heavy metal, you kind of expect some band to come out like Slayer and, just kind of play to the type. And, Ozzy Osbourne's going to rip Bats' heads off, shit like that. But then you have things where like they'll have discussions. Uh, there was a little Hispanic pop dancer girl that was licking ice cream at an HEB like a year and a half or 2 years ago, and everybody was saying how dare she. But then like half of her fucking videos are all about crossing the threshold or the Rubicon and giving herself up for her baser desires. And basically, it was self worship, Satanism, and
Mm.
that's like the majority of these garbage. I have more problems with pop music than with heavy metal, and I've always been
I
like that.
loved Mbop. I thought that band was great.
You mean Hanson?
Yeah, Hanson was adorable. I
Well,
love their music.
I think every high school that had over 1,000 kids thought that Hanson came from their school. I think that was
No, they didn't come from the school I was going to. It was like a teeny school. Because we went, my dad retired from the military. We went from big, huge schools, with thousands and thousands of kids. And then we moved to this little town, and there was like kindergartners to seniors, and there was like um,
was a
100 people.
one room school.
There was like 100 people in this school. My senior class had 23 people in it. It was tiny. It was horrid. I hated it.
Janet's got a riot in the chat right now because we have
Why?
people ready to
Oh, they
unsub.
hate Hanson.
They
Hey,
hate
I couldn't help it. They were cute. And I love that song, Mbop. Good song.
I hear that and I get a zit.
But you got to remember, I had 4 sisters. I didn't have any brothers to play cool music. And my dad liked Peter Frampton, for Christ's sake.
You and me both, Kronos. Well, Kronos is like, wow, I need a drink now. Yeah, me too.
Well, I didn't just like him. I liked lots of music. I mean, my mom liked country music, and my dad liked really weird stuff. I mean, I don't know. He liked Peter Frampton and other weird music that sounded like
experimental
from India or something. It was all weird instrumental stuff that my dad liked. And then I had sisters that all listened to different stuff. And, we'd all had our own little thing, and we only had certain times of the week that we each could play our music because there was 5 of us, and my youngest sister, she'd just come in there and she'd just tear up everything you had. So we had to, you take your stuff and you put it back in the closet so that someone else wouldn't sit on it or walk on it. And I had 2 sisters in my room with me, so I had to share everything basically. So I had to protect what little bit I had. And I was lucky when my friends would give me stuff, give me records or cassette tapes or whatever.
I had
lots of cassette tapes.
When my uncle overdosed in 1988, going through his music collection, I got the things that his sister didn't want. And my dad didn't mind that I got them because now they were my dad's basically, because I lived with my parents. When you're 13, you don't live on your own. You live with your parents. And so my dad was pretty much having me do all the legwork for, what he wanted. Because what I liked is the things that my dad showed me. I was not a brave young man with his own thoughts. I was just kind of parroting what I'd learned before. And so my dad was happy with my music collections, except for the Hawkwind Codex. Now, some music nerds out there are going to be like, oh, God, not the fucking Hawkwind Codex. Yeah, I listened to that when I was growing up, and I enjoyed the shit out of it. And I like that 60s and 70s prog music, prog rock, or it'd be considered prog metal now probably, because people don't have the ability to make something new. It's all recycled garbage. But I really like that. It paved the way for me to enjoy Joe's Garage and various other aspects of Frank Zappa, who's one of the greatest creative minds of the 20th century. And every day, I really wish we had a man like him still alive to ridicule idiots in the music industry, because he said on David Letterman once very famously that the music execs are looking for guys that want to put on brown lipstick. You know, if you're willing to do that, you're going to get your album released at whatever Hawk Wind, like Hawk Wind, Wind Blow. Okay,
Mhm.
Hawk Wind Codex. But that was like my dad's only complaint of my music selections. He was hoping Celeste would get that. And Celeste hated the Hawkwind Codex, but she bought me all the stuff that they had released up until like 1990 or something. Because she hated buying me computer games. She's like, you don't need to be outside. You need to be listening to music and enjoying yourself and eventually maybe smoke pot. But we disagreed on a lot of things, and that was just one of them. I wasn't really a big pothead. I'm a better drinker, not a pothead. And that was one of those things that happened. I remember picking over Uncle George's music collections and then leaving some of them in his bedroom as a shrine, and his parents were pretty much okay with that because now that George is gone, you know, leave something there. But the good music was picked over by the vultures, our family and Celeste's family, and that's just how that kind of goes. And we I treasure quiet now because if I want to listen to music, I do, and if not, I don't. But when you're a young kid, you can't listen to music the way you really want to because you live with other people.
Yeah, I know what that's like.
Yeah, yeah. Even though I'm an
I
only
like
child, I have
instrumental mostly, and I like blues and jazz, you know, that type of stuff. That's my favorite.
yeah.
But, you know,
We
like the Santino Surfers.
never heard of them. I'll look them up. I
Okay.
will look them
But
up.
Kronos can look them up. But Kronos, you haven't seen me play one Mbop Hanson song in my music area. I didn't even know why. I haven't even thought about their music until somebody put it in there for a long, long time since I was a kid, basically young. So, but I do like them. I wouldn't throw them away because I think they're adorable. And I bet their parents were so proud of them. I wish I could have done something like that. I wish I could have been talented in music or something.
I wish you could hear yourself talk. You're quite talented, Janet.
I mean, in music, I
Oh,
can't play an instrument. I suck. I mean, I'm terrible. I can't sing. Um, I you know, I just like to do stupid stuff, you know, tell jokes and be goofy. I guess I could do that, but it's not the same thing as being talented, like being able to play piano or a guitar or, you know, something else. I guess I could play a tambourine, but I've never been anywhere to do that. I mean, I like to dance. Dancing is fun. I've taken lots of different classes for different types of dance, but I've never, you know, did it, uh, you know, to where I'd make a career out of it. I wish I could have been good enough to do that, but you know, it's just like a girl, any girl that's tries out for the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders or any of the other football teams or basketball teams to be a cheerleader. That was a big thing when you're a young, you know, girl, 18, 19 years old. You want to be able to do something like that, but you got to have talents besides just, you got to be pretty, but you got to also be able to do the splits and be able to do all, you know, flips and all kinds of stuff. And that's a lot of work. And a lot of kids can't do that, especially since um, parents told me, you know, all of us girls, that we had to get jobs in the summer and make money and save our money if we were wanting to get a annual and or a senior ring and or special clothes, you know, something, you know, you know, nicer than what we'd get on our birthday or for Christmas, because that's pretty much the only time we got to go. Oh, we got to go school shopping and buy a couple shirts and a couple pairs of jeans and some new tennis shoes, or once a year. We went to school. I mean, we just didn't have, you know, we just weren't really rich or anything. So you had to work for things, you know, babysit on the weekends and mow yards or rake leaves and things like that for the neighbors to make a few extra bucks. So
fair
no,
enough.
I can't sing that song. You don't want me to sing. Everyone will be wanting to poke their ears out with an ice pick.
That happens. I threaten to sing sometimes when my chat gets unruly. Um, I, uh, I do want to wrap this up because we're getting towards the end. Weekly roundup, welcome in, and I would like to say that I'm I'm going to say this movie is like a 7.5. I hope that people that want to see this movie they go see it. If you haven't, it's been out since 2006. It's been out for quite a few years. It's up to you if you want to press play on that. And it's available from a lot of sources. It got it on Amazon. YouTube's got it available to
It
buy.
had a high rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was like a 95 for us, the viewers. So that's pretty high ranking. And I usually, before I go see a movie I haven't seen, I'll go look and see what its ranking is for us, the viewers, not the
Not the critic score.
yeah, if the critic score is really high, then I'm probably not going to like it. That's what I've found out so far. So I really like Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's one of the best channels. If you ever want to find out if a movie is going to be good, go there because I like the fact that the people like us actually go there and put good comments and stuff on there about whether the movie was crap or whether it was good and what we liked about it. And they do the rating, the way they rate their movies with the questions from people like us watching it. I think that it makes it easier for someone like us to go and say, well, is it worth, renting this movie or buying it? And you get good, I don't know. I've gotten good feedback. I really believe it because I'll go watch a movie because it's got a really high rating from the big wigs, and then I'll watch it and I'm like, God, that movie was terrible. But then another one I'll see it has a high rating by the audience participation people, and then I was like, it was a high rating. I was like, yeah, it was really good. So I would go by the other people, not by the critics. You want to go by, that's what I think. So if you go with the critic people and you think that movie's good because the critics think so, and then you come and tell me it's good, then make sure you tell me the other critics liked it, because then I'll just say thank you and not watch it.
That's kind of funny because there was a movie released this weekend, and I was curious about it. It's got a lot of good marks on it, and I've heard some of my friends say that the Dungeons and Dragons movie is worth watching. But Bruce, on his never-ending crusade to defund wokeism, will not be paying to see it.
Did you haven't seen it then?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm thinking about seeing it just because I'm so sick of watching movies at home. I want to go to the theater and have real movie popcorn and a slushy drink or something and put my feet up and watch a movie.
Well,
I
I'm
haven't seen
hoping
anything.
I'm hoping you can wait one more week for John Wick 4
Oh,
because
John
John
Wick
Wick 4
4's
comes
coming
out
out?
the 28th.
I haven't seen the trailer for it yet.
It's all over the web. You just
Okay, I'll have
breathe that into your search bar and it'll pop up John Wick.
What about
And
have anybody seen Ant-Man and the Wasp movie or whatever it's called?
Quantumania.
Yeah.
Everybody I know that saw part 3 to Ant-Man and Wasp said it sucked.
Oh God. Why
Every
is that?
single one
And
of
wasn't
them.
there one other movie besides the Dungeons and Dragons and Ant-Man? There's another new movie that's out that's supposed to be halfway decent.
I haven't heard of another good movie in the theaters for a while, but
Oh,
I'm gonna make my first theatrical film be John Wick Part 3 because I've seen the other 3 John Wick films.
yeah,
I
I've
actually
seen them
own
all.
all of
Are you
them.
gonna take a clicker with you?
No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna just go there and suck down popcorn and movie fountain drink and enjoy myself like a 12-year-old kid because that's basically what my friend told me. He's like, dude, when you see this movie, it's going to take you back before time of woke bullshit. There's no, he didn't say if Asia Kate Dillon was in it, and she's in part 3 as the educator. And I didn't really have a problem with her until like I was just kind of browsing John Wick stuff. And then it says, oh, you might want to know about Asia Kate Dillon. And it like the most woke bitch ever, anti-colonialism, anti-Western civilization. Like, I know this is really bad, but I hope her character gets eviscerated in John Wick 4. I
The
mean,
actor that played the gentleman that ran the hotel, didn't he
uh,
just pass away?
that you're thinking of Lance Reddick, the man who played the concierge, known as
Yeah.
Charon for the Continental.
Yeah, the
He passed
Continental.
away
Didn't he
Friday.
just die? Yeah, and he was 60 years old.
Yeah, he's a young man, and he died suddenly. But if you looked at the news today, there was a young influencer, age 30, who she was famous on TikTok, and she had hundreds of thousands of views, complaining about headaches and migraines, and then she died today. She was 30, a a mother of two. Not saying like, oh my God, she was a mother.
Oh
She
no.
did the hardest
We're gonna
job.
I'm
Look what she's
afraid we're gonna
crying.
start seeing a lot of these this year.
But we're going to see a lot of this, and it's going to happen. So, like, your
It's sad.
family that went out and got the jab,
They're probably gonna just expire naturally.
Well,
but dying suddenly is going to happen. And I think Lance Reddick, from what I read, it sounds like it was jab induced. He was just kind of okay one day and not so much the next, and that was it. And
well, I didn't get it. So if I die,
it'll be natural.
someone needs to be well, it would have to be a car accident or something, or someone came in my house and took care of me, got rid of me, something like that, or someone was mad at me and took me out. But
Yeah.
because I'm pretty healthy. I mean, I had a physical not very long ago, and I didn't even have high cholesterol. So I'm going to be around for a long time to harass Kronos with my horrible music. But
Well, we look forward to hearing about that. Um, I want everybody to just keep an eye on what your food is. Who's involved with your food, because there's a certain guy who created a certain Microsoft operating system who just bought a shit ton of farms across America, and he's talking about trying to inject vaccines into food to get rid of the vaccine hesitancy. So just watch the labels and watch I mean labels.
But
You're not
now,
going
do
to
you
tell you.
trust the government to even put that on labels?
I mean, the same government that did the Tuskegee experiment. I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. I'm going to tell you that, like, they're not going to put it on the label, but you're going to have to look for certain brands are going to have it, and that might extend to the store generic brand too. So I got to change my buying habits, and that kind of makes me a little upset.
So, am I a pure blood too?
If you're a pure blood, that means that you didn't get the jab.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he has to he has to acknowledge that I'm a pure blood if he is. So he can't say, he's not going to be nice to me anymore because I liked Hanson, which I still do. So
Anyway, yeah, just look up Echo Labs. Yeah, thank you. Other than that, that's all I want to. How I want to end the show. Come back next Monday night, 7:30 Central Standard Time, or 19:30 for you DD214 people. Come back here. Me and Janet are going to discuss the 1988 action suspense classic known as Payback with Mel Gibson and Maria Bello and a host of other people. Watch Mel Gibson get the shit beat out of him for about 2 hours. It's a great movie. Everybody, later on, God bless you. Have a safe and healthy week, and I look forward to seeing you then.
thank you for coming.